I'm like the sound that the wind makes when the doors open. The answer is anybody focused on poetry in motion. Motion, like poetry in motion. Motion. I'm like LeBron from the baseline when the score's smoking. The savior, is anybody hoping the poetry in motion? Motion, like poetry in motion. Motion.
Welcome back. See, things are working a little different today around here. This is not an official episode of the Mr. Know-It-All podcast, but as you know, I am Mr. Know-It-All. Kelly Q's not here today. Ty is not here today. I'm here for a special conversation with a good friend of mine, man. It goes by many monikers, but I want to run a couple of them down to you. His brother John Horne, a.k.a. Faith Ninja, a.k.a. Rascal Saint One next to the original, and a.k.a. the Saint Maker. I wish I had my clapping up bottom clapping up for. Give it up, my brother John. John, what's going on, man? What is going on with you, man? How you feeling today? This bright early good, Sunday morning.
Good. Yeah, boys. Early on a Sunday morning, we doing this. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to everybody in YouTube world.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to be here with you, bro.
Yeah, man. I definitely had to get you on, man. We've been talking and having long conversations over the past, what? Has it been a year yet? I think it's coming up close to a year.
On it. Yeah, it's coming up on it.
Definitely coming up on close to a year or whatnot. So now this is a friendship that I've built with this good brother or whatnot. We actually have in common. His cousin is one of my good dear friends that I went to college with. Big time buddy of mine.
Shout out to Jules.
Shout out to Jules. My man. He came to me. He was like, yo, man, I heard that you looking to do some things and trying to get your podcast thing in order and talk to somebody, because it was initially I was looking for, doing somebody to help do editing, and I was just like, before I know it, I was like just taking on more editing myself, but I felt more empowered by this brother in order to do it. So I did my thing, and I said to myself, I'm like, all right, cool. We gotta start building on something and whatnot. So we got some things that we're building on. We're not gonna let the cat out the bag now, but we got some things that we're building.
Do not let cats out of bags.
Not at all. You ever thought about that though, letting the cat out of a bag?
Yeah, I did.
How did you get the cat in the bag?
Kicked in. That's why my sarcasm kicked in right there, bro. That's
right.
Exactly why. Because I'm like, no, we don't let cats out of beds. I'm not sure how we put them in there.
In the bag. If I try to touch, if I try to, like, my cat would let me pick him up, but if I try to put him in the bag, come on, man. Honestly, I feed him every day. He'll claw me right up. Easy.
Yeah, your face will be jacked, bro.
Nah, I mean, it'll be ridiculous. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring y'all into the world of us for a second. When we talk a lot of, we do, but before, I mean, we just had an hour conversation, about technical aspects of podcasting. We're not going to hit y'all with a whole diatribe of podcasting about podcasting. I don't think that that's fair to y'all. And to be perfectly honest with you, some of y'all might fall asleep during the damn thing. I'm not going to lie to you. It just won't work. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they talking about. You know what I'm saying? And pass right out.
Yeah, it just depends on who you are.
That is very true. Because some people will be sitting there with notebooks. You know what I mean? Taking notes. So that's cool. What I wanted to talk about today, there was something that we talked about on episode 159 of the Mr. Know-It-All podcast. And for y'all that listen to it, Taya Moore, she's the one that writes the questions for me a lot of times. It's my social media / off-brand podcast producer. Shout out to Taya. When she wrote this question, I went on an entire soliloquy. I mean, honestly, dude, and I don't think I've ever been that emotional about a topic during a podcast. But it almost seemed as if that I may have been a little bit condescending in my tone, because I was very on the contrary. She asked me about why don't we care about black men's mental health. And I said, well, because black men are considered the villain. And it was one of those things where we went back and forth about it. And I kind of staked my claim, but the one thing that I like about the black women that are in my life, they kind of respect what I say. when I say it, because I'm coming from that end of the topic, and I understand exactly what I'm trying to get across when I'm saying it. But I want to talk to my good brother, my faith-based good brother, about mental health today, because I think it's a big deal, John. I think that a lot of times we don't give credence in this community. If I've never said it, I am on on the Mr. Know It All podcast. For all the Mr. Know It All podcast fans, if you don't know, I am Christian. Um, I am saved. Um, I do believe that Jesus Christ died for my sins. I'm one of them people. I mean, but the Lord is still working on me. I a whole lot. Um, and I'm getting there. That's the reason why I like to get a little bit of my inspiration from the faith ninja over here. You know what I mean? And like to say the things that I say. But I'm a work in progress. So don't and
Yeah,
anybody
that's
like
who else you supposed to be, bro. Who else you
that,
supposed to be?
absolutely,
I'm a work
absolutely.
in progress too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
at all
just say that
times.
just everybody starts at the same point of the road, but you move at your pace with God. So different people
Absolutely.
end up further down the road than others, and it's like
Yeah.
that mean that you on the road is what matters.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Plus, I mean, with all the judgy people and situations in the world or whatnot,
Oh yeah,
judge
that's
ye
another.
not
That's
ye
a
be
whole look.
judged.
Now
You
that's
know what I
another
mean?
podcast. That's
Yeah,
another conversation.
yeah. Yes, it
Okay,
is. Yes, it
that's
is.
another conversation.
That is absolutely. So let me just ask you one question, and because I know a lot of our questions, we're going to segue everything accordingly. But me and John, when we speak, we're going to dive smooth down rabbit holes, and it's kind of it's going to be like watching Interstellar or Oppenheimer. I think you're going to have to pay attention. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to have to pay attention. So let's get started. Oh, as always, get with us on IG at Mr. underscore Know It All underscore pod, the Facebook fan page, Mr. Know It All Podcast fan page, Mr. Know It All Podcast on TikTok, and send everything that you can over to the Gmail at, what is my Gmail account? Mr. Know It All Pod at gmail.com. That's Mr. Know It All Pod at gmail.com. Almost forgot for a second. So let me ask you this question real quick, man.
All right, I'm ready for you.
All right, all right. Do you recall your first experience with mental health? Just like in general. Like knowing it was a thing rather than any cliche that you've heard before.
Okay, so like a personal experience, like okay, like there's something going on with me because my background is I actually spent 15 years after after you graduate high school. That was my first like career for real. But
Right, right, right.
I've kind of I've always been inclined for mental health because I was always uh I was always a young minister in the church. Growing up, you want to be a minister, and surrounding around ministry,
Yeah.
there's a mental health aspect there that all ministers have to be prepared for because you're there as their minister. You got to help them through their life situations, their hard times, all that stuff. So
Right, right, right.
it's always been a thing for me, like lifelong, and will be just for the simple fact that I'm a minister. But
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but I also had an interest in it, right? I had an interest in as a young teenager, just in mental health and psychology and all that stuff. So I was going in to go into like, in that direction, educational wise, which I eventually did. But,
Okay, okay.
so I worked in it. I worked as a low key social worker for a second. Then I, got into therapy. Then I got mentored, apprentice
Mm-hmm,
into
mm-hmm.
psychoanalytics. It's like the
Okay.
deep psychology, right? Psychoanalysis. If analysis is a word, right?
I'm about to say, is it?
It's psychoanalysis. That's what I'm
There you
trying to
go. There
say.
you go. There you go. Psychoanalysis. Okay.
And so,
Okay. Right.
psychoanalysis, cognitive behavioral change theories, and things like that in
Right.
therapies. I had the privilege to actually be mentored, apprentice, like work in other people's practices in their
Mm,
programs. And
mm.
so, you know, I got the doctorate level training without having
Right.
to go to school for it. So
Okay. Okay.
it was
Okay.
one of them things where it was like, wow, God put me around people to get what I needed. And then, of course, doing what I do now, there's a lot of elements. So my basis is in psychology, but
Right. 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 Right.
to answer your question, um, having worked in it and been around it, I've always been someone who's been conscious of try to take care of yourself, try to take care of yourself. But My first experience really like thinking like, oh, I got something going on, like I need help myself was, when I was in my early 20s, like I knew as a youngster
Mm-hmm.
before even 20s, like I had anger issues. So it was
Mm.
like I need to do something about that. You get to start a family and all that stuff. Marriage has pressures, and I start reacting out of those pressures, right?
Mm.
So it was
Mm.
like I need to do something about that. So in my mid 20s, I really started to try to address those issues. Like, yo, I have anger management issues. I'm dynamic. I'm a leader. People count on me. I work in psychology. I teach anger management. I teach decision making, problem solving, all these different things.
Right,
But
right,
it was
right.
like there's a side of that where it's like, yeah, but you're still a person too. It doesn't matter if you're a minister, a
Mm.
leader. It doesn't matter if you're the one actually, you're the therapist, the counselor. You got to do something about it too, and you need to get that help from others to do it. So start seeking
Mm.
out books, education, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Talk to people, get professional help. And so, yeah, I had to do that, bro. I had to do that in my 20s.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to do that in
Yeah.
my 20s between 23, it's like somewhere between 23 and 27. I can't
Right.
actually
Right.
pinpoint the exact time, but it was in that time.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like, it was crazy, bro. It was crazy, but
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm
Right.
still on that journey. I don't think that's a journey that you do like you're going to go to the doctor, right? Because you got like a cold or flu and you get a shot, you get medicine, and it's over.
Yeah. 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 I can understand that.
It's
Yeah.
not that type of thing. Your
It.
mental health is not that type of thing. It's just like your walk with God. Like it's your whole life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
constant. It's your whole life because your situations change.
Mm-hmm.
Your mental, emotional, and spiritual approach to situations constantly changing in life. As long as you're breathing, you need that person in your on your own personal management team. You
Mm-hmm.
need that
Mm-hmm.
counselor,
Mm-hmm.
that therapist, that
Mm-hmm.
minister, people like that.
Right.
You need all of
Yeah.
those type of people around you all the time. You got to have a team of advisors to really help you. So make sure
Right.
you're
Right.
building that.
No, absolutely, absolutely. One of the reasons why I asked that it wasn't, especially as far as like because you kind of answered the next part of the question when I was talking about recalling mental health. I could actually take it back to being a baby.
But that far.
No, no, no. But see, not within me. Me recognizing that there was a thing because the diagnosis back then were a little bit a diagnosis. My grandmother suffered from schizophrenia.
Okay, okay,
You know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. I'm
So
familiar
yeah,
because
yeah.
my bio mom deals with that.
Okay. So essentially, it's one of those things where when you see it, and then as she got older, it never really there was never. I mean, we're talking about the 80s and the 90s, man. Like honestly, it's we just were not in tune to exactly
Right,
what it was, and then
right.
the big thing that came about was to understand that a lot of these things become hereditary.
Hmm.
And as I got older and as the pressures kind of started to mount, it was like one of those things where I started to understand. Like, I'm not saying that I picked it up directly from whatever was going on there. What I'm saying is that I can understand how the people that are bogged down, like because mental health, I feel like that I'm a mental health advocate. I'm married to a therapist, so that's a thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
see,
it's that
yeah.
right. That's the thing. But it's also one of those things where is that I think we talk about a lot with being empathetic. You know what I mean? When it
Yeah.
comes to it, and just having an understanding of, hey, this person is going through something. It's not like you're not going through something as well. And I think a lot of times it's easy to put a label on what it is.
Yeah,
To
big
put a
time,
yeah,
big time.
yeah.
Because
You know what I
back in
mean?
the back in those times, right? You talking about 80s, 90s. Now, I was born
Hmm.
in the 80s, but we basically came up in the 90s, early
Yep.
2000s.
Absolutely.
The awareness of mental health is
Right.
it's just a new thing, really, for real. And it's sad because people have been around for a really, really, really long time. And
Hmm.
with the
Hmm.
advances of technology and everything,
Yeah.
mental health is one of those things where it's like now it's being paid attention to, right? Because
Yeah.
of the state of things around the world, people lashing out and doing different things, but mostly in America, mass shootings, right? Mass shootings come up.
Mm. Right.
Everybody's like
Right. Right.
mental health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, mental health's been around, been overlooked for that long. But right now, with the like I was saying, with the advancements of technology and the events, we are now actually thinking we have the capacity to try to advance the mental health conversation and the mental health availability, right, for
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The healthcare situation, specifically in America, makes it tough because people have to pay for their own healthcare,
Right.
and a lot of the deep, long term mental health support that you need to
Right.
have is not covered by insurance companies. So it
Hmm.
has to be a part of your personal finance, your budget, right? And who can afford that?
Right. Right. Right.
And so there's another third element there that makes it tricky, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
positive is that the awareness is now here. The awareness is legitimately here. Uh,
Right. Right.
in a
Right.
chain of unfortunate events has brought
Yeah.
the light to it, but the point is the awareness is here. What do
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
do with that is the question, because there's so many people
Right.
like you said, your grandmother, my mother, and everybody else falling through the cracks.
Right. Right.
Think about people that go to jail. They shouldn't even be in jail because they legitimately have mental health issues,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
but the police
Yeah.
and people, they can't diagnose it, right? And so they get arrested for lashing out when this person just might be untreated autistic.
Hmm. Phew.
And nobody knows because they couldn't afford to get diagnosed or go get seen or get the tests done and all that stuff. Nobody knows why
Right.
this man is out here doing what he's doing or this woman's out here doing what she's doing.
Right.
Nobody
Right.
knows that.
Right. Right.
So the issue is, bro, is that now you have the awareness at large. You have people like you, me,
Mm-hmm.
everybody, right?
Yeah.
Celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
companies, everybody's on a mental health initiative. We're trying to bring
Yeah.
awareness to it.
Right. Right.
My concern is that can it turn into action? Can it actually turn into action instead of it just being the next badge of honor, right? And
Yeah.
instead of leaving it up to our nonprofit organizations to always push this stuff. And we know that the nonprofit organizations, if they ain't really, really, really like big and got the money and been around for a while,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's just some other people, just another talking point.
But see, and that's kind of where my thought process in it's the fact that it becomes a topic that's cliche because
Yeah.
now it's so regular. Like you said, you steer it in that direction. Yeah, it's mental health. That person has mental health. There's something going on with them. But the entirety of a situation, and this is another thing that I think about a lot too. Do you believe that circumstances attribute to what goes on with your mental health?
Um, Absolutely. I mean, I would definitely want to know more specifically about the word circumstances, if you mean that
So
in general or specific.
so
But
so this
the general answer is yes. That's an unequivocal yes.
right, right. So here's the thing. So the reason why I bring this up is
Mhm.
I have I so I don't know if it was a meme or it might have been a meme or something that I saw online, and I found it to be hilarious. But then I
Yeah.
thought about it afterward, and I was like, you know what? He might got a point. So essentially, what he said, what the meme says is, you're not depressed, you're just broke. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying? Or you're not. And see what
uh,
I'm saying? Like now the reason why now
okay.
this is the funny thing. Now I'm not going to totally attribute that because there are a lot of people that are well off that are depressed. Um, I
That
think that
triggered me a little bit.
yeah no. But listen though, John. So listen, I think that life, whatever hand that you're dealt with, right? You know what I mean? Whatever hand that you're dealt, you pick up your spades hand. Let's compare it to spades. You
All
pick
right,
your
I
spade.
got you.
You all right? You pick your spades hand up, right? And the first thing that you say to your partner, I mean, in this even you can even attribute it to marriage or whoever you live with and how that works, your children, whatever. That's your partners. At the time, you have you know what I mean? When your hand is dealt, and we all go through seasons because sometimes you listen, you're not your life is not all one spades hand. You
Good
know what I
hand.
mean?
Good point.
We
Good
go
point.
right. It's a spades game.
I
It's not
said
all,
good hand.
right, but it's not always just one hand. It is you're dealt different hands at different times. So if you're in that season and you look over at your partner and say, we gotta go board because what you got, man? I got one in a possible. Or one in the pot, what they would say. And they say, yeah, I got one in a possible too. We don't have a choice but to go
Mm.
board. Now, when you do that I'm getting to something with this. When you do that, when your life, your hands are dealt that way, you play your game a little bit different. You don't play your
Facts.
game. You don't play your game as if that you're looking to run a Boston when you got to go board.
That's facts.
You know what I mean? So everything that you do. Oh, and I think, wow, I think because talking to you, man, like I said before, like I think that
Get
sometimes
it,
God is whispering to me when He says something. He's like, listen,
bro.
I want you to get this point across. You're dealing
Say
with,
it.
you're dealing with what you got, so you play it accordingly. And let's say, even in the midst of that, if you miss board, then now you're set back. Now you're set.
Not just set back. You just
Right, but
set back. Now
right,
your opponent can renege on you. They can take something from you.
right, exactly, and that's exactly what happens. You only get 3. Now you in a hole. So what happens is that changes your thought process. Now, here's the thing: in life, as opposed to a spades hand, that reverberates. Now you can't pay your bills. Now you can't pay
That's
your car
facts.
note. Now,
Yeah.
it makes you question your faith.
There's a big you got a lot here. You got a
Right,
lot
right,
here because
right, right,
it does make you question your faith, but then
right.
it's the situational element, right? The
Yeah, yeah.
circumstance that you brought up, right? So there's like 3 points here. To address your question directly and then do the other 2 points as quick as I can.
Right, right, right.
Circumstantially, yes. Everything you said is yes. And if we stick with the spades example, it's like the hands being dealt. I don't know what circumstance I'm going to be in
Right.
before this round starts or round season of life starts.
Okay.
So it's like I'm looking across the table, and we're married, so we can say with our partners. It's a little bit deeper reference for us. And those of you that
Absolutely.
are married, listening, it's a deeper reference for you.
Very
Yeah, you
true.
might
Very
you might
true.
not even be married, but you live with someone for a long time. You know what I mean? We're not
Right.
discriminating on that.
Right,
But
right,
for
right.
those of you that are just, you're single and you're like, I'm not married, your partner's your family.
Mm.
Your partner is yourself.
Right, right,
The
right.
role you play in your family with your parents, with your brothers, your sisters, all that stuff. Or you might be a single parent. Your partner is those children. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
just to give some deeper context for those that are listening. So now if I
Mm-hmm.
got bored,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't have enough to I only thing I have in my hand that's dealt with me between me and my partner is we can pick up the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
The bare minimum.
Yeah,
Now we got to be so careful because the pressure's on. If we
exactly.
don't, if we fall short of this, it demands perfection. Because if we
Mm.
fall short of this, we're set. We're
Right.
jacked.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if we exceed it, we're a little surprised and we're a little bummed because we maybe we misread our hand.
Right, right,
See
right.
what I mean? And
Right,
then maybe we
exactly.
got to question if I'm actually in the right type of communication with my partner. Do I understand my partner enough? Are we vibing? Are we on the right wavelength? Do we understand each other?
Mm.
Because and it's like, well, what if I don't have a partner and I can't vibe? Do you understand your situations? Going back to this mental health, cognitive decision making, psychology, can
Ooh,
you look
right.
at your life now, the state of your life, the state of your child's life, the state of your spouse's life, the state of every factor in your life, and can you understand strategy, right? Can you think strategically? A big thing when I
Mm.
talk to you is personal life strategy, right? But just
Absolutely, absolutely.
people that work with me in terms of life coaching, that I'm the original life coach as a minister, but the
Mm.
point is, and I throw shade on the life coaching because everybody's not a life coach. They
Hmm, hmm,
can't
hmm.
they can't teach you how to think strategically and become a better decision maker.
Now let
And
me ask
so
you a question. What do you think that you're able to implement within that's different than whatever every other life coach is bringing to the table when it comes to that? I'm gonna give you an
well
opportunity to, you know what I mean, to
we'll
get you
unpack it.
get your
We'll
swag off a
unpack
little
it.
bit. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, a little bit appreciate
yeah,
it, but we'll
yeah.
unpack it.
Right,
We'll
right,
unpack it. You
right,
know what I
right,
mean? Because
right,
we like swag.
right.
Oh,
Absolutely, absolutely,
like when
absolutely.
Dion said, "I am the swag."
Hey,
Oh.
yeah.
anyway,
Oh
anyway,
man, we gotta talk about that
but
Dion
no,
thing too. Yeah.
you have to become a better decision maker, right? So I'll answer that second question in what I'm saying, right?
Okay.
The typical life coach industry, right, which is supposed to be the poor man's mental health. Let's be real about it. The insurance company, you
Ooh,
can't get
ooh.
mental health from the real therapist.
Okay.
And I'm not
Okay.
saying there aren't counselors and therapists out there that aren't lending their services as a life coach or ex-therapists and counselors that have the expertise and education. I'm not saying that
Right.
because there are.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
let's be real. People jumped on this life coaching phenomenon and realized that they can just talk and share their quote gems and experiences. And it's become this thing where it's like hybrid motivation. It's not real approaching the real issues of what changes a person and helps their mental health grow. See, I got to go in my bag for a second here. So follow me.
I'm with you. Go ahead.
And I'm still answering your questions. Guys, I'm still going to answer the question. I'm like going
We
in
down the
bag.
rabbit hole, baby. That's what we said. We
We
down
gotta
the
go
rabbit hole.
find the cat, bro.
Yeah,
we gotta
absolutely.
go find the cat, and we
Yup.
gotta take him out of the bag.
The
So here we
bag.
go.
Yep. Yep.
Mental health, a person's constitution is set up based upon this one term: efficacy. 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 Self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is made up of three parts. The one you're familiar with: self-esteem. The one that you might not be familiar with: self-ideal. Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there's another part of that. It's self-esteem, self-ideal, and your self-concept. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
most
All right.
people think your self-esteem, and they're just
Right.
self-esteem. Let me break it down.
Right.
Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself.
Right. Right.
Okay. Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. Self-ideal is how you see yourself. Now, but not just in the present, how you
Right.
see yourself, period. Like, think your ultimate self, how I view my ultimate self.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Self-concept is how I perceive myself. So
Hold on.
Okay.
Wait.
Go ahead. We're going to go
Wait. Because
flow with it, bro.
listen. Because everything that you're giving right now, I want them to have a concept of exactly what that is and what the difference of it is.
All
You know what I
right.
mean?
So,
When we
okay,
start talking
let's
about
use
it. Yeah.
sports.
Yeah.
Let's use sports for an example, okay?
All right. Let's go.
Let's
Yeah.
use sports. Let's jump right into the GOAT debate, right? LeBron
Here
James,
we go.
Michael Jordan. Because this is
Yeah.
easy.
Yes.
This is
yes.
easy.
Team
The
Brown.
qu-
Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Well,
Right.
The question itself
Yeah.
would fall under the category of self-ideal. Who is the ultimate GOAT? Boom, period, ain't changing it. So either you're LeBron or you're Jordan, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's the ideal. Because what you're saying is this is the measuring stick. All basketball players have to measure up to this. Period.
Yes.
Past, present, future. There was nobody in the past that was better. And daggone it, ain't nobody coming along that's going to be better. But if they do, they have to
Right.
exceed this. So you're
Yes.
setting it in stone. That's the
Okay.
ideal. Think about the word ideal starts with ID, right?
Right.
There's
Identification,
another
right,
word.
Yeah.
There's another word that's like it's locked in stone, and we look up to it that starts with ID. Guess what it is? Idol. Ideal.
Right.
Idol.
Okay.
You see?
Okay. Right.
So what
right.
is your idea of something?
Yeah.
What is your idea of yourself? We talk about vision boards. What's your vision for yourself ultimately? We talk about doing the what's it called? Obituary test. Write your own obituary of what you want people to say about you when you die, and then live your life trying to be that.
That's a thing?
Yeah, that's a real thing. That when you're in mental health, that's
Yeah,
an actual
yeah.
exercise. So say you were sitting down with me, right? You
Yeah,
was sitting
yeah,
down with
yeah.
me, you was having problems knowing who you are, your idea of yourself. I
Right,
don't know who
right.
I am. I would then naturally say, well, who do you want to be? As a therapist or as a counselor? That's the next natural question. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's do an exercise. One of the exercises is this. If you died, imagine you died and you're in your casket at your funeral, and all your loved ones, kids, family, everybody is standing around the casket. You are the preacher, preaching your own funeral. What would you say to them about yourself, about what type of person you were? What would you want them to remember and all that stuff? And you actually have the person physically pick up pencil and paper. I know this is a 3x5 card for those of you who are listening on watching on video.
Right.
But get you a legal pad, get you a notebook.
Right.
Write it out word for word. And after you're done, you spend the rest of your life trying to make that true.
Wow.
Making decisions and being that person you eulogized.
Wow. Wow.
And then, prove it to yourself
Yeah.
so that when you actually die, people really say that stuff.
Wow.
That's a real
Wow.
mental health exercise because it
Yeah.
makes people, it takes you to the extreme, takes you to death, the biggest fear. Watch
Absolutely.
this.
Right.
Death is the ultimate thing that everybody's going to experience. But guess what? Death makes you face the idea of yourself. When you think about it, because now you start thinking about, did I waste my time? It makes you think about all your decisions.
Ooh.
And that's what bringing it back.
Right. Right. Right.
Real mental health work. Real mental health is about changing the way you make decisions. It's about making you a better decision maker. And there are things around that. Now, this life coaching industry, and it truth, even the clinical medical approach doesn't really approach that.
Right.
You're very blessed and lucky if you run into a mental health professional, social work professional, and even a life coach
Right.
that, or somebody in your life. They might not even be that actually knows this and teaches this stuff and is trying to drill it into you. You're lucky because
Right.
you have to become a better decision maker. Now, that's crucial because, and I'll get back to the concept and the esteem in a second because we're underneath this category of ideal right now.
Ideal. Right. Exactly. Right. Right.
The decisions you make, okay, they affect how you feel, which is esteem.
Ooh.
Okay, about yourself.
Okay. 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 Right.
And
Right.
and simultaneously, I'm talking like heads, tails on a coin.
Right.
They also affect your concept, how you perceive what you did, if it was right, wrong, good, bad, how you perceive yourself. How'd that make me look to others?
Ooh. Ooh.
At the same time, when those two are being affected like that,
Right.
it can ultimately affect the idea that you have about yourself if you're not stable in that idea, if you're not locked in on it. So let me explain.
Right. Right.
The self-ideal or the idea you have about yourself, right? That obituary you want to,
Yeah.
that is not something that it changes.
Right.
That should be something that, okay, once we lock in on it, it never changes.
Okay.
In my
Okay.
circle, I would say that has to be eternal. That's an eternal decision. That's
Okay. Okay.
easy way to understand it is like this. With Michael Jordan or LeBron James, once they figured out they want to be basketball players,
Right.
would anything be able to change their mind? Any situation, circumstance, any words from anybody. Could anybody convince them in any way not to be obsessive about basketball and being a basketball player?
I would think not, but then also I would think about the cause and effect of a situation. If they did and they didn't succeed in the way that they wanted to succeed, or let's just say that they were unable to get to the level that they wanted to be, how do you keep that intact in the realm of ideals?
That you just answered the question. I know you don't
Right.
really truly realize it because we're talking
Right.
about this new concept, right? And I'm going in
Yeah.
the bag. Like I took
Right.
you
Right.
all the way through the galaxy portal,
Right.
black
Right. Right.
hole. We Starship Enterprise, right? We just
Right.
right.
Right. We at
So
hyperspeed. Yeah,
yeah, we at
absolutely. Yeah.
hyperspeed right now. But okay,
Right.
let's
Right.
take that question you just said. The
Yeah.
answer's in the question. The fact that their idea of themselves is I'm a basketball player, and that idea hasn't changed. All of their decisions and their actions went to making that true. So now, once they became great at it, like masters of the game, they're head and shoulders above everybody else in freaking high school and in college. They're above everybody else.
Right.
All their decisions go there. Now, when they get to the league and they're among the greats, they don't change their ideal. They're constantly striving to answer one question, which is, how do I become the greatest? I'm already a master. And most people are like, oh, I mastered it. Let me move on to something else. There's something else is, nah, I'm a master. I mastered it. But there's something else is how can I make this greater? How can I find now? How can I find the depths of it? So now, how can I discover or get so good at it or bring something to it that nobody else can't ever do, will ever do?
Mm.
How do I make this legacy?
Mm.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
How do I solidify this in history?
How do you find the realm of what you're talking about without falling victim to the perception of others? Because what happens is that's kind of what happens. Like if you're chasing, let's just say, okay, I feel like I'm the master. I'm the man. Listen, I'm the podcaster's podcaster. Even if you didn't know he podcasted. Your favorite podcast. But see,
Ah,
here's
I'm
the
glad
thing.
to be with you.
Yeah, so let's say that I've taken that and I've internalized that to say, hey, listen, this is the wave and this is the way that I'm going to move regardless. In in the aspect, especially of in what I do, and even I guess you can even say in basketball, my thing is always going to be that there does come public perspective along with that, or your success is measured by your achievements in that. How do you keep that trump tight? How do you keep that in your own lane where you feel comfortable, when it doesn't affect your mental health, when those that would give you accolades outside of it become your biggest judges?
Well, that's a great question, first of all. That's a fantastic question. And the answer is the same, whether you have people judging you or not.
Right.
First, you have to learn. Now, this is great because this goes into self concept, your
Right.
perception, your
Yeah.
self perception of yourself in terms of the environment, how you relate to the environment. This
Right.
is perfect. Oh, it's a perfect segue.
Nah.
But but this goes from ideal to concept. Now, the self concept and the self esteem, that's the
Right.
foundation for your self ideal. Think about us. We got two legs, right? We stand on two legs. If
Right.
if if your legs, your right leg was self esteem and your left leg was self concept, the rest of your body is self ideal. Your legs hold up your body.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, your legs hold
Absolutely.
up your body. So, with your question, you know how you hear people say, just don't care about what people think. You have to get to the place where you don't care about what people think.
Right.
And the truth is, that doesn't exist. There's you
Yeah.
can't get to the place where you actually don't care about
Care
what
about
people
what people
think,
think. Right. Right.
because
Right.
that other people's thoughts is a main ingredient in how you form your self-perception, your self-concept. See? So you can't get rid of it. It's
Exactly.
it's
Right.
impossible to get rid of it. So when you're
Yeah.
sitting across from somebody, you're doing mental health work and they're struggling with other people's perceptions. The wrong thing to tell them is to not care about it.
Oh, ooh, okay. 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 I'm listening.
Because you're
Yeah.
trying to get them to do something that's unnatural. You see what I mean? I can't
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
Keith, I can't tell you to stop being a male. I
That's
mean,
true.
you could try as hard as you want to try to not be a male. You can go to the ultimate extents, like some things that are happening in our world today. But deep down inside, there's going to be that internal struggle of who am I? What am I? Why am I? Which those three things are this self ideal, the self concept, and the self esteem.
Right. Right.
There's
Right.
always going to be that struggle. And so if people are judging you, they're judging LeBron, they're judging Jordan. Guess what they do? They just keep playing basketball. How do you do it? Discipline to your ideal. That ideal is a decision. See, that's the thing that I haven't said yet. These three things are decisions. It's just
Right.
that the ideal is not a ongoing decision. It's a one-time decision. It should be treated as a one-time decision.
Right. Right.
But, but
Right.
but what we have trained everybody to do in our world is you can be anything, anytime, anywhere, anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
You can't keep changing it because the principle in life for success is consistency. Consistency comes from discipline. Discipline says you pick one thing, you master it. You want to
Right.
talk
Right.
about faith ninja? Master the martial arts. You want to talk about being a Christian or whatever faith you're in. If you're not Christian, you listen to this. If
Right.
that's what you're if that's what you're committed to, master what's in that book. Master those principles.
Mm. Mm.
Let me take it a little bit edgy since I'm on a hot seat right now.
Yeah,
And
there we go. There we go. There we go. Keep it
look,
moving. I
little
like
bit
it.
edgy. I mean, think about good and evil. Why do the people with the good morals are always shifting and changing? Then they want to complain how evil is winning. But what does evil do? Evil usually gets one objective in mind, one ideal.
Right.
And they make a plan around it. And then they make sure they feel good about their plan. And they make sure that their perception about that plan is
Right.
tight. And they have those three things tight. And they don't let those three things get out of harmony with each other. That's the problem with people, man. They can't lock in on this ideal because they lack discipline internally in decision making. And they think about decision making as always external.
Right. Right. Right.
Decision making is internal and external. But how
Explain,
many?
explain that portion of it though.
Bro,
Internal
think
decision
about
making.
this. Think about this.
Right. Right.
I'm on a pod with you right now.
Yeah.
I could be thinking in my head in terms of my self-concept, self-perception. Man, what does Keith think about me, podcasting right now with him from the kitchen?
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like, and then I can allow that one perception of my environment and what you think about my environment. See how that's two
Right.
things? My perception about being in the kitchen right now. If you're watching on video, I'm literally sitting in my breakfast nook in the kitchen, refrigerator right over a boy left shoulder. He right over the shoulder.
Listen, it's a nice refrigerator though. I like it.
Thank you. Still shiny in the mug.
Yeah, you already know.
But I could be thinking, what do you think about that?
Right.
I could be thinking how you feel about that. Then that makes my self-concept, my self-perception change. It makes it change just ever so slightly.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Then what does that concept affect? It affects my self-esteem. Because now if I let those self-concept change affect me enough, now I'm going to start feeling some type of way about being in the kitchen. Now, Keith, you don't have nothing to do with the esteem part.
Right.
It has now evolved to where it's internal to me. But it started externally with you and me. See, we're podcasting, and the external factor is what do you think about the fact that I'm sitting here in my kitchen right now, podding with you, and that you're going to post this on your YouTube channel, and people are going to see inside my kitchen. What are they going to think about me? I'm not a real podcaster because I'm podcasting from the kitchen.
Right.
You see, all that is self-concept. It's all that is what thinking about what other people think about you and what you think about what other people think about you.
Thank you. Woo.
That's
All right.
self-concept.
I love that. Let me branch from that. I want to stay down this rabbit hole because now
it's gonna be that theme. We're gonna ride it all the way through.
We're gonna ride this theme all the way through. But here's the thing: every rabbit hole has a branch or two that leads to other portions of it. That subsequently it all leads back to the same place. But someone's a more obvious. Yeah, exactly. But some of these places are more obvious than others. All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the relationship between men and women when it comes to this perception. So we talk a lot. We talk a whole lot about. I knew that was going to get you. So we talk a whole lot, right, about like the red pill society and we kind of come to a foregone conclusion with a lot of these guys. Oh, these guys just wasn't getting girls when they was growing up. They didn't get the attention from women, so now they feel a certain way towards them. Okay, so we can start off there with that with whatever the perception is with that. But I also want to talk about the perception of those women in your life as men, because we're speaking from a men's perspective. The women in your life that are closest to you and how we deal with the perception and the ideals when it comes to them about us and about what we do.
Okay, now let's do it. Let's do this.
All right, let's do it. All right.
And this is like, I guess, the second stage of this conversation. So please, we're gonna build on that first part with this. This is real talk. This is real talk. You can see my face. My face.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. The biggest overarching point in what you're bringing up here, bro, and what I believe the red pill community doesn't really get is that, first of all, men and women are essentially different. That's a fact. So there's always this tension in the red pill conversations of trying to get one to comply with the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, yes, there's a level of cooperation, there's a level of compliance, but both sides are just trying to dominate. See what I mean? And so that creates a
Ooh.
war. Now that's an
Mm.
overarching thing.
Okay. Okay.
The main issue though is that a male, a man's mental health is often overlooked way more than a woman's mental health is overlooked. So
Okay. Okay.
men, men by training, by expectation, by a lot of things, look out will look out for a woman's mental health and condition more often than a woman will do the same for a man.
Ooh. Oh, you starting
Because
something. You starting
yeah,
something.
because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
woman is trained that the man provides, the man strong, the man does for you.
Right. Right. Right.
And you got to remember, fundamentally, boys are taught to take care of women. And so
Absolutely.
fundamentally, as they go throughout their life, they're paying attention to this because they're not just taught that as information. They're taught that it's their duty.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
something sacred.
Mm.
And then
Right. Right. Right.
if you don't, you're not a
Mm-hmm.
man.
Ooh. It's
Like
very
now
true.
watch. If
Mm.
you don't fit the ideal.
Mm.
If you don't have the basis to form a self ideal. You're
Wow.
outcasts. We sending you to the island by yourself.
Yourself. Right. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you must do this. That's the type of pressure it is. And it's not just pressure because psychologically now, in order for me to be a real man, I
Mm-hmm.
must do this. And other men, there's an unspoken thing just because I'm a man that it must happen. And it's not just coming from men, it's
Mm-hmm.
coming from women.
Right.
And it's
Right.
not just coming
Right.
from women, it's coming from kids.
Ooh.
It's not just coming from kids because if I'm a spiritual person, almost every spiritual faith puts pressure on the man
Man,
to do this.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
now it's
Absolutely.
everything. It's not just coming from God.
Mm.
So now if I'm a
Mm-hmm.
male,
Mm-hmm.
imagine the bar I gotta reach.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
imagine the bar I gotta reach. Now on the other side of this coin, females aren't taught young how to understand men.
Mm-mm.
They're taught
Not at all. Right.
how to play with dolls and have kids and raise a family and be a woman that raises a family and be a woman that raises a family, and then a man's gonna come
Mm-mm-mm.
along and love you because you're a great woman. But they're not
Mm-hmm.
really taught how to support her, right? Or not her, sorry.
It's
They're not taught how
him.
to support him.
Right. Right. Right.
They're not taught how to understand a male nuance. Flip to the boys
Right.
when you're young. Hey man, women, girls are delicate. Like you can't bum rush them too hard. When you
Right.
around them and they want to play with you, you gotta be a little bit more careful with them. And we're taught to be careful with handle them, right? You
Yeah.
gotta open the
Yeah.
door for them, right? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta make sure that you pay and this, that, and the third, and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Women ain't taught. They're taught the opposite. Well, you can go out there, and if you're out there with the men, you got to toughen up because I mean, you got to hit them hard. You got to let them know that you're out there, that you're not just
Mm.
this weak girl.
Right. Right. Right.
That's
Right.
not actually telling a woman this. When you go out there with the boys and you want to do your tomboy thing, you want to play sports, and you're out there with the boys. This is the
Right.
reason why men do this. This is the reason
Mm.
why men do that. And you have to kind of flip and adjust. Women don't really encounter that type of teaching until they're about to get married or they about 25, 30 years old. And they done
Absolutely.
had a few run of the mills, they done ran out on the streets, you know what I mean? They ran into a few players and they got
Right. Right.
lost in the game and they had
Yeah.
to figure
Yeah.
out the game and they figured out, oh, we playing spades, not checkers.
Mm-hmm.
See what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like
Absolutely.
that's when women really wake up to it because what happens? They have relationships with these men. They're not trained and equipped from a parenting standpoint and from a community raised a child standpoint to really
Right.
be
Right.
aware of how men function, how they think. So first of all, they're ill equipped to handle an adult male's mental health.
Mm.
That's the first thing
Mm.
that we're really going down. But
Right. Right. Right.
this thing tends to compound to where they struggle to have relationships with men. So what is it? If the man feels like you're struggling to have a relationship with him, he's going to reduce you to the primal instinct, which you're only good for two things.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm
You with
listening.
me?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
only
yeah.
at that point, the
Right,
man
right,
doesn't see
right.
that you can really help him, so he turns you into an object. He begins to use you
Mm.
because you can't help him change his concept or his esteem, or which then will go towards his ideal. Now, his ideal is up to him, but the woman can influence his esteem, how he
R-
feels, and
Right, right.
she can influence how he sees, how he strategically thinks, his perception.
Mm, mm,
You know what I'm
mm,
saying?
mm.
How many
Right,
men?
right, right.
How many men messing with these girls? And we can talk about players. They got 4 or 5
Yeah,
girls, and
yeah,
their brains are screwed up.
yeah, yeah,
But let him run
yeah.
into that one he really loved, though.
Mm-hmm.
It
Absolutely.
doesn't matter if he got 10 women.
Right, right.
She has the power to change his perception, his feeling.
Mm, mm.
That she can affect his mental health. And because
Yeah,
they're ill-equipped, right?
yeah,
Because they're
yeah.
ill-equipped, they don't have the knowledge of what a man is and how we think and how we move and how to adjust to that. And not just adjust, how to cooperate and complement that with the femininity. Because they're
Right,
supposed to
right.
complement each other.
Yeah.
She don't have that. So
Hmm.
now she unconsciously affects his concept, his perception, and his feelings for the negative.
Ooh.
Or she unconsciously is trying to get something that he's supposed to do from him. And the only way I can get him to do it is to change his feelings and his concept.
Ooh. Ooh.
And we would call
Ooh.
that
Okay.
manipulation. We would call that manipulation.
Right, 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 right.
But to her, it's not manipulation. It's the only thing she knows because she's ignorant to what you are.
Wow. 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 And
That's
let
the
me ask you a
problem,
question.
bro.
How long is this something that should be tackled or not even tackled? Let me say. Is this something that should be in alignment earlier on in relationships? Because the one thing that I notice about a lot of men, and I even mentioned it last time on a podcast, like kind of in my own way of saying it, is that being in tune with this man, a lot of times it takes women look at it as, okay, this is a sacrifice. I'm giving this sacrifice up because I want to see him happy. I'm sacrificing specific ways into which that, like at the end of the day, it's like I love it's the most archaic form of it. I am a woman. This is a man. I love him. I love the person that he is. I love what he brings to the table. I love his potential. You know, that's always a thing.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? I love the potential. So what happens is that they look at it and say, okay, um, as we grow in this position, I'll grow and you grow. But the growth, I think, a lot of times has to come with something that is tangible.
Bro,
When a woman looks
bro.
at you, they're looking
Watch.
right.
Watch. I hear your question. I
Yeah,
apologize
yeah.
to the
No,
viewers
I
for
got you.
interrupting there. The woman can only reduce it to tangible things or
Right, right.
potential
Mm-hmm.
because she has ignorance to what the man is and how he
Ooh.
functions. Now, let me counter your question with this. It's
Right.
all about how he can take care of her monetarily.
Yeah, yeah,
House,
yeah.
cars, money,
Yes.
and he
Read
got to
my
have a
mind.
decent
Yeah.
career. She can only look at and reduce it to primal things because she don't have no knowledge about
Mm.
what male is.
Ooh.
Okay? Flip the reverse though. I'm gonna just reverse it and then you'll see.
Yeah.
But when we going after a woman, what we think about? We be like, all right, let's get the base stuff out of the way. She gotta look good. She gotta be some type of attractive to me. Or
Absolutely.
be a good sound woman.
There you go.
Most men, and this is to the contrary of what most women believe. They believe a man's driven by their sexual desire. Yeah, that's true. That's primal.
Right.
But the thing that makes us make decisions about which woman to love is more about her substance and her intellect, more
There
about
you
her
go.
ability to endure over time.
Ooh. Ooh. Whoa, whoa. All
Am
right,
I
wait a
right,
minute.
bro? Am I
No, no,
preaching?
no, no. But you know what? Yeah,
Am I preaching?
because you are or whatnot, because that's one of the reasons why you have people that you've heard of it before, people that are in these long-term relationships. And then what happens is that one day the woman wakes up and says, I cannot deal with this anymore. I don't love you anymore. I want a divorce.
Yeah, she
Or I
want a
don't want to be
divorce
with you.
because she doesn't have any knowledge about how to live with a man, how to complement the male the male ecosystem,
Right,
the
right,
male
right.
nature. Nature's a better word. The male
Yeah, yeah,
nature.
nature.
We
Okay,
don't
right,
have
right.
that. We've been trained how to deal with the male nature by our dads, by our moms. Now watch this. And then by society, we have a pressure put on us in society to be able to deal with the female nature and not
Right, right,
damage it, but to
right.
uplift it.
Yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely.
so we got way more training than they do. We got way more training than
Mm.
they do. And
Right, right,
and
right.
and it's crazy because even if your dad wasn't in your life, there was some guy, some coach,
Oh,
there
absolutely.
was some homeless guy on the street. Hey,
Yeah,
bro, it's
grandfather,
just
you know what I'm saying?
a
Somebody, yeah.
grandfather. It's something that look, if you was born
Yeah.
male, by the
Yup.
time you was 3 years old on the playground with all the mix of little boys and girls, mom and dad was like, "Hey, be careful with the girls."
Right, right,
They ain't
right,
never
right.
said to a girl, "Be careful with the boys." They never said that to a little girl. Be careful with the boys. They told her the opposite. Make sure you hold your own with the boys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Why
yeah.
you gotta hold your own with the boys? Why can't you teach that girl child what a
Right,
female is, and then teach
right.
that girl child what a male is, and let her understand how they're supposed to work together, as opposed to training her to just deal with the boys. We're not trained to just deal with the girls.
Right, right.
We're trained to take care of them. There's a
Absolutely.
difference.
Absolutely. And you know what the
That's
crazy thing about it is that a lot of times what I see is that the argument comes into play because I think that guys are trying to they're trying to state what you're stating. They just can't do it as articulately. So they
the
say right.
red.
They say right. The red pill.
That's
They're
red
trying
pill's
to say
motive
that.
is off, bro. They trying to get the women
Yeah,
to be them, to serve them ultimately, to be subservient.
exactly.
That's not
But
how
rather
God designed it.
right. That's true. Rather than the understanding factor that comes along with it. So what happens is that they become this thing because at the end of the day, you have two different types of men. And I say this a lot or whatnot because we, like you said before, when it goes along to what you're talking about as far as the training goes, we either evolve or we acquiesce. We we
Good
we
point.
find a we find a way to compromise because so let's just talk about dreams for a second because I wanted to, this is something I want to talk about because this comes into play a whole lot. You'll have men that have these dreams and these ambitions, and we talk about this a whole lot. What happens in the realm of this dream is that I'm a person that believes that what God has for you is for you. You don't know the timetable. You know what I mean? And you want to hear God laugh, tell him you got a plan. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? To see how, see how quick he says, oh yeah. That's nice that you said that. Let me do what I do over here though. But
Nice
here's the
idea,
thing.
but I got
Yeah.
another one.
Right, right. But it's so the big thing though is that I've seen men have these but now the guys that don't want to do anything and they half ass everything, that's a
Yeah,
whole
call
different
them what they
topic.
are. Call them what
Yeah,
they
you're
are.
right. You know what I mean? It's laziness. But
It can
the one
change though,
the
but
right it can, but the ones that push forward, to me, I think that we misunderstand each other when we start speaking about the way that the timetable operates. So you have ever got a guy that because I know plenty of guys that were had dreams of being an artist, had dreams of being a photographer, a videographer, had all these things, and were in that realm of doing this. And then the moment that they get, a woman that they feel it fits their principles and stands on what they stand on and believes what they believe and will do anything for this woman. The moment that she feels uncomfortable with the situations that you put them in, she'll start to reverberate that. She'll give that right back to you and say, listen, um, love you, know all is what you call it, but we got to make sure that we got this. And what do men do? We're fixers. So therefore,
yeah.
we're diving directly into a situation to say, okay, I want to make this right. And what happens is that the majority of the time we make it right at the detriment of us. And what it does is taking it back to the key point of it. That is part of what affects our mental health.
Big time.
You
Big
know what I mean?
time.
The men that unfortunately die at 62 and the woman lives till she's 90
Well,
because the
statistically, because of what you just described, that is a true
right.
statistic. That's a fact.
Yeah.
It's research. Men, and especially married men, they pass
Yes.
away years before their spouses, before women do. and
Yes. Yeah.
because of the pressure that we have of this thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, how can you turn that around? You have to educate women on how to deal with men.
Mm.
And it's like,
Mm.
but that comes from parenting, man. Now
It
it's like,
does.
can we get a generation of women to
Mm-hmm.
be educated on this? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, and then pass it down to the kids, the little girls. Pass it down. Can we get fathers to start educating their little girls about this? We need
Mm-hmm.
we need adults to educate the next generations
Yes.
on this differently. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so long unaddressed that it's become the way.
Yes.
Okay? It's
Yes.
become the
Mm-hmm.
way and
Yeah.
it's become our habit. And it's not even a habit anymore. It's become our belief system.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
It's become our concept, our esteem, and
Ooh.
our
Ooh.
ideal as a people.
Wow. Wow.
It's become our identity.
That's crazy. That's crazy that you say that, because when I start to think about, I actually had a conversation, and it's not probably one of 5 conversations that I've had with women that might be younger. And the one thing that I hear a whole lot is the ones that came up with their fathers in their lives.
They're different.
Right, they're different. But here's the thing: a lot of times, many men's love language is acts of service, especially
Good
when it,
point.
yeah. So what happens is that they use this as the thing to make sure that everybody else around them is okay. Like you said before, we were trained on, all right, you got to be gentle with these women. You got to make sure that you got to make sure that they understand. You got to make sure that their walk of life is, the soft living thing. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
really, really pertaining to the way that you know what I mean? Like, hey, listen, you want to sleep on this bed of pillows, there's only room enough for one. I don't worry about it. I'll sleep on this bed of rocks. You know what I mean? I'm gonna
Right.
get my sleep
Right.
regardless, because I'm strong enough to bear it. The thing is that with these young ladies, that what they say to me is that they say, well, my father passed away, 5, 6 years ago, but the understanding factor is off. Well, he loved my mom to death. It wasn't nothing that he wouldn't do for me. And up until the day that he died, there's nothing that he wouldn't do for me. And my thought process in that is always, yeah, acts of service, we always gonna make sure that you good. Who made sure that he was good?
But see, this goes back to the point that we were saying, but it's at a
Right, right,
deeper
right.
level.
Yeah, yeah.
She wasn't brought up as a child to think that the man was more than just what he can do as an act of service.
Exactly.
Okay, she wasn't brought up to
Exactly.
do that because watch, there's this air of things. Well, it's a man's thing. Like he'll figure it out.
Right.
This is the situation. He'll figure it out, right?
Mm.
So it goes back to that endurance piece, and
Yeah.
I'm tying this back to something. He'll figure it out is what the woman is thinking, who's in a relationship with this man, who's like the adult woman.
Right, right.
The child is thinking my parents will figure it out. Half the time, the child might not even know there's a situation going on, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the woman is thinking he'll figure it out. Why? Because she's been trained to know stronger, right? But
Mm-hmm.
watch, beyond his strength, the deeper thing is he's supposed to.
Ooh.
That's the only training they have about boys and that
Right.
grow into men is that he's
Right.
supposed to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Boys are stronger than you. This is what women get trained. They're stronger than you, so be careful because he can hurt you. That's
Mm.
all, that's all. That's all they know. But watch, when they become
Mm.
adults and they find their independence, as they should, I'm not against female independence, as they should, they don't have enough knowledge of the rest of the male. And so now they independently and ignorantly go against his values or the way he's made, his constitution, the way he thinks, his concept, the way he feels, his esteem.
Ooh.
They go
Ooh.
against his ideal. They don't match his ideal. And so
Right.
guess
Right.
what? It becomes a conflict for the male. And then when he naturally in his maleness rises up to be strategic and logical to fixer the
Yeah.
problem,
Yeah.
they think his fixerness rising up and his oh my god, and how we get when we know there's a problem, they think
Right.
that's aggression. And so now they see our attitude change and stuff, and what they do, they go back to what they was taught as girls. When you see a boy acting like that, oh, watch out, he's strong, he can hurt
Mm.
you. So
Right.
psychologically, they go on a defensive. Then when he comes with his question, hey, sweetheart, I noticed that she's instantly in the she's already in the defensive instead of in the
Yeah.
complimentary. Now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
she will understand, boys are stronger than you.
Right. Right. Right.
They're naturally faster than you. But the way boys think, they're logical first, which means
Mm.
they spend their time in logic. They spend their time dealing with facts, searching
Right.
for
Right.
facts. They spend their
Right.
time trying to figure out what's real and what's fake, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
that's their whole life. And then boys, they like to test themselves. They like to see if they're better than this and better than that and better than
Right.
this. They like
Yeah.
to have ambition, right? Their
Mm-hmm.
ambition grows
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
ambition, right? And
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
it's like, okay, you need to know that about the nature of a boy, little girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
Because if you
Right.
get when you become an adult and you get mixed up with a boy, that thing
Mm-hmm.
is always going to be on. He's going to be tinkering with something. He's going to be taking apart that motor, and you're going to be thinking, "But it worked. Nothing was wrong with it. Why are you taking it apart?" And he's like, "No, but I have an idea."
Mm.
And
Mm.
you thinking he's taking apart the infrastructure that takes care of you, when the truth is,
Ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, I wish I had my air horn. Beep, 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 beep.
yeah,
Yo, yeah, listen, no, because
see,
oh my goodness, I
you
didn't even
see,
cut it up. But no, I want you to keep going. Keep going, because my brain just did a 360 around my skull and went right back through my ear. Like
and
it's ridiculous.
and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
should, because at that moment, she just wakes up and sees parts on the floor in the garage.
Ooh, ooh.
She don't understand that this boy taking the car apart because he heard a sound.
Mm.
But it's our
Right.
car, and then watch, her mind goes to, oh, what if you don't put it back together right? Oh man, what if we got to get a mechanic? You make a mistake. Because she's
Mm.
going to defense mechanism that's going to start fighting him now. Because watch, he's supposed to provide and protect. That's all she know he's supposed to do. And his
Mm.
curiosity
Right,
of
right,
of
right.
trying to fix and solve the problem and be logical and be preventative, because I heard the sound, let me get ahead of it because it's a problem. His curiosity, his natural male nature becomes the threat
Yeah,
to
yeah,
her
yeah.
comfort and existence, all
Hmm.
because she wasn't taught more about how we operate.
Ooh.
I'm not, because
Ooh.
what I'm saying is, people will say, well, that's her wrong response. That's what Red Pill would say. She needs to get her
Right.
in line. No,
Yeah.
she she was done a disservice by everybody in life and our society and how life works, because guess what? She
Mm-hmm.
wasn't taught this in this westernized society. But if you go back to tribes,
Mm. Mm.
the women in tribes don't struggle with this.
Yeah. Mm.
They don't struggle with this because
Right,
they
right.
spend the time interacting with raw male nature and understanding it and letting it be.
Ooh. Ooh.
Like
Wow.
the the,
You
the, the
saying something?
woman
Yeah.
that walks up on her guy who took the engine apart in the garage should be thinking, if he took it apart, he got it.
Right.
And
Right.
if it is a problem, he'll be the one to discover the problem he
Right.
caused when the engine don't start when he put it together.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
at that point, he got to fix it because he caused it.
Mm.
I don't really need to say anything else. And
Yeah.
then if I got to go to work on Monday and the car's still broke because he pulled it apart, at that point I could say, hey, I need $15-$25 to Uber back and forth from you, because until you fix that.
Until you fix it.
Now
Until
you
you fix it.
provide for me another way if
Mm.
necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
to their credit, man, you got to step up and be responsible. If that's the situation you've been in or are in or will be in, if that
Right, right.
happens to you, you're going to have to pay for the Uber without complaint. As a matter of fact, you probably should already have figured out a way until to provide otherwise if you cause a problem like that. But that doesn't say that his curiosity is wrong. It's just
Yeah.
saying that women don't have enough knowledge to know how to deal with the male nature and to let it be.
Right, right. Absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
don't know how to cooperate with that. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like, just back, you said dreamer. What about the
Right.
guy who's constantly dreaming of ideas, thinking of ideas, right? I got this idea, I got that idea, I got this idea.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
ever see how apprehensive that makes a woman, especially a married woman?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's actually a great segue, because the first thing that I'm thinking about is that First thing I wrote down is that how do you fly, man?
How
How do you
do
fly? How do you fly when the air traffic controller is always telling you, I don't know if you should do it now, maybe bad conditions. I don't know. You can't do this because maybe you didn't do this right, or maybe because they're thinking of a situation in logic, or the logic they know how to think of it, and you're thinking of it as, okay, I need to do this. So here's the thing. My thought process is always this. When we start talking about taking leaps of faith and flight patterns and people doing things that they need to do, like you said, it's in a male's nature, in order to want to do, it can be really, really misconstrued as selfishness because they're looking at it like
Good point.
they're looking at it as if like, oh, you're doing what you want to do for you without the consideration of everybody else.
Yes.
But the thought process in my mind, and has always been in my mind, and maybe it's just because it's me, and I always say this, is that my thought process is not because that I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for the benefit of not only me, but of everything around me.
Yes. And
You know
bro,
what I mean?
bro, most men are doing things for the whole.
Right.
It's because the woman's lack of understanding. Remember, she's been trained to look after her own well being.
Mm.
She hasn't been trained to think about the whole. When we're trained to take care
Mm-hmm.
of a girl, watch out for these
Mm-hmm.
little girls. From a
Right.
child, we're trained to think outside of ourselves.
Yes.
We're we're we're
Yes.
we're we're, we're being taught that our decisions affect the every other people,
Yes.
and
Yes.
namely
Yes.
girls.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, but
Absolutely.
women aren't being taught that. Little girls aren't being taught that. So their
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
their decisions are for them in their own interest, right? So
Mm.
then you go to be an adult, you're in a marriage or you're in a relationship, and
Right.
what
Right.
happens?
Right.
The women's reaction is always towards her self-interest, either being fulfilled or protected.
Ooh.
The,
Ooh. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
man's
Absolutely.
the man's
Absolutely. Right.
actions are usually motivated by something that he observes outside of himself, right?
Yes.
Usually.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, ladies. There are some guys who are just out here playing the game, right?
Oh yeah,
But
they're
the
self-serving. It's a lot of
right, but the
self-serving gentlemen
reason
out
why
there.
they
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
that far, they didn't start that way. They started the way we're talking about right now. They thought outside themselves. They got that way because their mental health been overlooked. They got that way because nobody knows who I
Mm.
am, and so I might as well serve
Yeah.
myself.
Wow.
Remember? No,
Wow.
they don't.
Wow.
These girls, these women, they don't understand nothing. We might as well just use them as objects. That's whole red. That's red pill. The women, that's their
Mm.
main two talking points. Women don't understand. So what do? We run man them. See what I
Mm.
mean? And if they offend
Yeah.
my madness, then what? Now that's ultimate male selfishness right there.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it, it,
Because
it didn't
right.
start there. It didn't start there because even in the red pill community, if you listen to their
Mm-hmm.
conversations, most of
Mm-hmm.
them, most of their motive, their true motive is to try to educate the woman. They're trying to solve this problem we're talking about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They're trying to
Mm-hmm.
solve it. So I give them credit on that because they're literally trying to solve it. Say, hey, if y'all would learn and pay attention to us more and learn what a male is, then we can solve the problem.
Yes.
So I'm not
Right.
throwing them completely under the bus. I'm saying
Yeah.
that once even in them trying to solve it, once the girls their ignorance comes out and the girl
Yeah.
goes to independent mode, she goes to independent female mode.
Right. Right.
A
Right.
lot of those
Right.
red pillars don't have enough endurance and they don't have a higher level of masculinity to just endure that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
let their masculinity pop off, put her in her place, kick her
Yeah.
out of the podcast, right? And
Right.
then
Right.
and then they're like, yeah, because we meant.
Right.
Well,
Right.
that's
Right.
not
Mm-hmm.
solving the problem either.
It's not
Which
at all.
which
It's
which
yeah.
goes back to the root point. If they would stick to their motive of solving the
Mm-hmm.
problem as an ideal, a one-time
Right.
decision, then the the option to kick a girl out who starts doing the independent female, ignorant female thing because she don't know maleness would never
Right.
ever be an option.
Mm.
Because if I kick you out, I
Mm-hmm.
can't accomplish my goal.
That's very true. That's very true.
See
Yep.
what I mean? And it's like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they don't have the endurance. So now, oh, my
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem is getting frustrated with this ignorance.
Yeah.
This oh.
Right.
So now
Right.
my self-concept kicks in and says, oh, because she's wilding out right now in the pod and she's doing this woman stuff and independent sin, all this stuff, this ignorant female stuff. Now
Right.
my self-concept
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
oh, is this making me look less than a man?
Ooh, there you go.
And
There
so
you go.
now I
Right,
have to
right.
bring the hammer down on this girl. Instead
Mm-hmm.
of sticking to the ideal of let me help her, she's just showing the symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look, shout out to
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Samuels, God rest his soul. But the
Uh-huh.
point is,
Right.
Kevin Samuels stuck to the ideal.
Right. Right.
He had the higher level masculinity to sit there and listen to all that female ignorance.
Right.
And look,
Right.
and
Right.
take their insults and take their and he would tell them to their face, you're not insulting me because I said something wrong to you. You're insulting me because you're trying to protect yourself because you've never been taught this. You're
There you
only
go.
protecting your own interests. And he's trying to
Right.
pull him out
Right.
of it. And he would sit there. He wouldn't kick him out until it got to a point to where he had to.
Right.
So it
Right.
was like,
Exactly.
watch,
Exactly.
Kevin
Yeah. Yeah.
Samuels, if you go back to his stuff,
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't kick somebody out unless they did two things. They
Right.
literally just came in out of pocket. They, hey, you're
That's
live on,
true.
you're with Kevin Samuels, and they just came in out of pocket. He would
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
starting that way. Or they would start and they'd be conversating for a while, and then he literally would be like, I've said everything that I could say to you. There's nothing else. If you don't get it at this point and you're acting like this, I hope that you get it, but you gotta go. And
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a kick out. It was a there's nothing else to say. It's
Yeah.
like you have to now take this and learn from it. And then if you want to
Mm-hmm.
come back and talk after you thought about it for a while with some different
Yeah.
perspectives, then come on through.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
example. And it's a shame because
Yeah.
they say they're following in his footsteps. They not.
They're not. They're not. They're looking to actually. They're more butthurt than anything. They're looking at it to more to prove a point. They come in on. They
Because
come.
of
They
that
use their
concept.
defense. They use offense as their defense. So what
They
happens is they come in right
look,
and they start to say things to belittle the woman. You know what I mean? Rather than try to understand it. But
exactly.
one of the reasons why I think that they do that though, is that we live in a society that's extremely impatient, microwavable to the core. They
Mhm.
we approach a situation and instead of taking the time to kind of and this is kind of part of what social media does. We get all our information from clips and memes and shorts and stuff like that rather than looking at a situation for long form or for somebody to have an understanding of it, to rather say that it's going to take more than 15 minutes for me to explain to you exactly where you're going wrong. The
Truth.
problem what it is that anytime that you meet any sort of resistance, because there will be resistance, because you can't tell somebody that grew up 35 years old that has always lived a certain way and they got failed marriages and two baby fathers and don't like men in general. You just can't explain that to them in a way that actually will touch their spirit. What happens is that I always look at it like they say, like, you get more bees with honey than you do vinegar. But you still have to find a way in order to convey the information without seeming so chauvinistic.
Yeah,
You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
you you
And
get
I
you
yeah, yeah.
you get more with honey, right? You get more with honey than with
Right, right.
vinegar. But
Mm-hmm.
vinegar can clean stuff.
Oh yeah, you're right about that though too. You're right
Vinegar
about
can
that though too.
disinfect. And
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
you're right.
you're going to use honey more often, but guess what? Too much honey will make you sick.
Very true. Very true.
And
And then
it's
also
like,
it also builds up the expectation of everything is all honey.
yes, it does. But
Right,
that's
right.
but see,
Yeah, yeah.
going back to this root psychology in terms of how our self concept, our perceptions are shaped.
Yeah,
Boys
yeah.
are taught that there's good and bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Girls are generally raised. They know that there's good and bad. They know that exists, but they're generally raised to expect more good than bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Boys are
Mm-hmm.
raised to be prepared for bad, and if good happens, or you can make good happen. But it's going to be
Ooh.
a battle. It's going to be a battle. Boys are raised that it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a battle. Nothing comes
Mm.
to you easy.
Mm.
Girls are raised. Life happens. There's good and bad in life. There's right and wrong. But for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, when
Right.
a man comes into your life, he's supposed to make your life good.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a
It's like the man,
misconception. Yeah,
the
yeah.
presence. They are taught that the presence of the man, and when you become an adult, and the presence of a man in your life is supposed to be only good, mostly good.
Mm-hmm.
And guess
Mm-hmm.
what? If there's bad, he's supposed to solve it. But guess what?
Mm.
he's not supposed to be the cause of it.
Ooh.
Remember,
Exactly.
he's human. What about his decision making? He might make a bad decision. So now,
Yeah.
because they was taught that this man was supposed to bring good into their life, be good
Yeah.
in their life, when
Right.
he
Right.
makes a bad decision, not only are they ill prepared for that, that wasn't supposed to happen. That's not what I was told. That's not
Yeah.
how I was
Yeah.
raised. Now their whole
Right.
ecosystem, their whole internal oikos is messed up.
Yeah, because now they're looking at it as if that well, if you're going to be the bad decision maker, then
I don't
I
need
don't
you
need you.
because you're not
Exactly.
good for me. Because
Right. Yup.
because
Right.
now my parents, especially in the black community, my parents told me if the
Mm-hmm.
man is no good,
Yes.
then he's no good for you. If the man is no good, and they set this expectation of perfection that girls
Mm-hmm.
will superimpose unknowingly because they've been trained in this for years since they were a child. Subconsciously, they superimpose perfection on the man.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
now, guess
Mm-hmm.
what? But remember, he's not perfect unless he was Jesus. He's not perfect.
Mm.
He gonna make a bad decision. So now,
Right.
her ideal
Yeah.
of perfection, these women get so set on a good man as an ideal and what that good man is supposed to be good for them and not cause any bad, they don't move off of it. So now,
Ooh.
when the man comes to make a small, minor bad decision, oh, he's no
Yeah.
good. He's no good because
Mm.
he don't fit this
Mm.
ideal. And to Kevin Samuel's point, oh,
Right.
if he don't fit a certain criteria, make a certain amount of income, then how come y'all can't accept the blue collar dude who got good values and make good money too? But you got this ideal that he got to be this guy with this thing with these type of belongings.
Right. Right.
Same thing. He's supposed to be good. He's supposed to speak good. He's supposed to do this. He's supposed to serve me, take care of me. Well, guess
Right.
what? What if you marry somebody who's ambitious, who's about building their business, and they don't spend a lot of time with you?
Mm.
Does that make him bad? No, he's just not spending a lot of time with you.
Right. Right. Right.
But
And at the
watch,
end of the day,
how did a woman view that though? He's a
oh,
bad.
they view no, they view it as the greatest thing in the world because he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do to benefit me and
Yeah,
us. You
yeah.
know what I
But
mean?
they
And
don't say.
that's
But they'll
right.
say on the other side though, bro. But
Uh
he's bad because he's not spending time with me.
huh. With me. Ooh, yeah. There you
But
go.
he's good
That's another one.
because he's building whatever he's building. He's providing.
Right. Right.
You know what we
Exactly.
do? You know what we do?
What's that?
Then go do whatever you want to do. Build yourself into something. I know you with me. You cool.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Exactly. I always say this, man. You can't steal second base and keep your foot on first. That's a Joe Button line, and I'll say it forever. I say it forever because the problem with it is that that's what I mean by the flight pattern. That's what I mean by jumping. That's what I mean by actually getting out there, and making something happen and whatnot. As far as just sacrifices go. A lot of times the things happen like if you got something in line, and let's just say. A woman has a goal, she has an ambition, she has something that she wants to do. I don't even know if it's a second thought in her mind. And like you said before, because I don't think that they were brought up that way or even understand that. Second thought in mind about the effect that it's going to have outside of that realm as long as they have that support system. And I
Listen.
say it all the time. I said it's too many marriages and too many long-term relationships and not enough partners.
Yeah, so they don't understand
You know what I
partnership.
mean?
They're not taught
Right,
partnership.
exactly.
They're
Partnership,
taught. They're
exactly.
taught. Actually, believe it or not, they're taught the man is supposed to serve them.
Yes,
That's what they're taught.
yes. Right,
Take
right.
care. The man's supposed to take care of you, which means he's supposed to serve you.
Yeah, yeah.
Men, on the other hand, is you're supposed to have something going on to create a system or ecosystem of support for this woman, but at the
Right.
same time, you're supposed to help her become something, but make sure that she's becoming something that fits the system, that fits
Wow.
the ideal.
Let's let's
Because
let's delve in. Let's delve into that for 1 second. Fitting the system. A woman, because I'm glad that because that speaks to a lot of different things. Looking at a woman to fit the system of what it is. Is it having an onset, already built formula in your own mind, in your own character, in your own ideals, the things that we were talking about earlier, that would attribute that to having a better partner? Or is it what everybody else thinks of results? the tangible items, the things that happen when they know for a fact that you are a go-getter and you can achieve.
It's one then the other in that exact order you said.
Right.
It's you have to have an idea of the system, right? And then at some point you have to produce the results because of that idea. Okay? So
Right,
it's like,
right,
cause
right.
watch, the working backwards. The results is what's going to validate that the idea of the system that man had. It's going to validate the power, reality, the security to the woman. The
Right,
truth. It's going
right.
to validate the truth of it, which is going to make her
Right,
believe it, right?
right, right,
And
right.
not just believe it, but settle into it, find her place in it. See what I
Okay.
mean?
Right,
Because
right,
remember,
right.
that system that she's been brought into or chosen to be a part of was not her idea. The idea didn't originate inside of her.
Right, right,
So the
right.
belief in that idea, the understanding of how it should work and how you fit the role, is not inherent. It's not in her. You see what I mean?
Understood. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And so the man has to have, before he's like, I'm gonna choose a long-term partner who's a female, I have to have an ideal already decided on, because that ideal determines every single decision that will be made. What kind of woman? How should
Right.
this woman think? Boom, because she's supposed to fit it, not create conflict.
There you
That's
go.
called being a better decision maker. Because now, if I
Right,
make a
right.
decision and I get a woman that doesn't match that ideal, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have conflict up front. Because she's not matching
Yeah.
it. She's not built for it. She doesn't have the predisposed characteristics that match this ideal and long-term plan.
Right,
I'm
right,
not
right,
saying she's
right.
perfect, because I'm not saying pick somebody perfect, but you have to
Yeah.
pick somebody that has the raw ingredients that can be molded into your long-term plan to fit it. Okay? So now you done created conflict because you wasn't sure about the ideal, and even if you were, but being unsure about an ideal is just a disaster, period. But
Right,
let's say
right, right.
you're sure about the ideal, right, Key? You're sure.
Right.
But if you pick a woman that doesn't have the characteristics and raw material to match that ideal in the long term,
Yeah.
as you go in that relationship with her, it's gonna. People say growing apart. It's not growing apart. It's just a conflict that just got bigger. But you as the male created the conflict by making the wrong decision, because you chose something that doesn't fit your long term ideal. It's your fault.
Now you
Now,
now you saying something, because when you said long term, because that the thought process always is, because I always think about the people that are striving for something and are looking for something, and it takes time in order to do, or in order to happen, or even if not the ideal of what you want to do, but your, let's just say, your path in order to do it, or what you're doing in that realm. Like if you were a banker and you became a podcaster, or if you were a banker and you're looking to be an actor, how in that realm as a man do you find, without compromising your own mental health in the midst of that, how do you
see,
find the one that's right for you in order to keep that in perspective?
well, you need a different example to answer that question. Your example is short of the mark, because your
Okay,
example is,
okay.
if I became a banker or a career, that's reducing it to physical things.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Right, right, right,
What you
right.
have to start thinking is, it's like, yo, like, I'll use myself as an example because it's the safest
Okay.
one to use as an example, right?
Right, 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 right.
I'm a leader. I'm highly ambitious. This is how I was made. God made me this way. I'm
Right,
highly
right.
ambitious, and I like to solve tough problems. I'm a big risk taker. Like,
Okay,
I'm
okay, right.
calculated in my risk, but
Yeah,
guess what?
yeah.
My risk tolerance is so high, and like, I'm the guy. I'm the William Wallace. I'll fight this whole army by myself. I'm like
Right.
Spartan. I'll fight this whole
Right,
thing by
right.
myself.
Right, right. This is
You see what I
Sparta.
mean?
Here we
Yeah,
go. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Like, that's how I'm
Right.
wired. It's not the career decisions we're talking about. I guess a better way I should have said this was, pick a woman who can handle dealing with your constitution. how God designed you for the long term.
Ooh. Oh, there you go.
Because
For
all
the
your
long
ideals
term.
and
Yeah.
what you're focused on doing and how you're gonna manifest that.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I have to have a woman that is okay with the attention always being on me from others. Now,
Ooh.
you know
Ooh.
me.
Ooh.
You
Yeah.
we've been getting to know each other. You know I don't draw attention to myself. Like I'm in the shadows for real.
Right.
You
Right.
know
Right.
that. But
Right.
I'm not this wretched melancholy who's scared of people either. I'm
Right.
extrovert.
Absolutely.
I can have a conversation. I love working with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm not drawing attention to myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But watch what happens when people interact with who I am, because I know that I'm a leader. I know I have the gift of leadership. I have the gift of communication. I know I can make an impact. I know that I'm ambitious. That's what I'm trying to do. Affect the hearts and
Absolutely.
minds of people and make them better, right? Let them
Right.
find what God made them to do. I know I'm that type of leader. When people
Yeah.
experience that, they are drawn to me because they sense that I'm someone who can solve human problems. I'm someone that can help people think straight, become better. I know how to deal with mental health and spiritual health, and I'm that type of
Right.
spiritual guy, like we was talking about. Like I can be an advisor or consultant. Okay, now watch. To your point, what do I do as a career most of the time? I'm a business
Consultant.
consultant.
Consultant. Right. Mm.
I'm quote people's life coach.
Right.
I'm a minister. I'm a pastor. That's what I've been designed to do. So it manifests itself by being in the right careers. Now
Right.
watch.
Right. Right.
I started out as working in psychology as a therapist, and I tried to be a salesperson for a long time. I'm gonna just make the money and sell. But really,
Right.
what it
Right.
turned into was I ended up being the sales trainer, the sales educator. Why? Because
Right.
that's what
Right.
I
Right.
am.
Right.
I
Right.
teach.
Right.
I add knowledge. Everywhere I go, I do that. In my house, I do that. I have to
Mm-hmm.
be with someone who can handle that long term. Because when you
Absolutely.
teach, when you start teaching, you start speaking, you're the one that brings the motivation, you bring the inspiration, you bring the
Yeah.
education. All eyes
Right.
come to you. And then when people get their thirsty souls and their empty minds filled with that type of goodness, guess who they run to? So I need somebody. The decision I got to make is, can she handle the attention coming to me like that? Is that going to make her self conscious? You see, and it's
Right.
not just in the moment, because she might be there in the moment.
Yeah.
All of us start our relationships. We had degrees of immaturity. It's
They
just a
absolutely.
fact.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
in the long term, can she mature to be able to handle that, to endure that? Because that's going to take time and attention away from her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
she could perceive that I'm giving more attention to other people than her, when the truth is I'm just doing what I'm designed to do.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'm honoring God's ideal of me. Because when he created me, when he created you, he had an
Right.
ideal.
Yeah. An
When he
ideal.
created you, he had a concept. When
There
he
you go.
created you, he had an esteem.
Yeah. There you go. There
Now
you
God's
go.
expecting you to function in that God-given identity and design so that you can make his esteem good. Make him feel good about you. To please God is what we say.
Right.
Are you pleasing God?
Right. There you
Does he
go.
feel
There you
good
go.
about you because you
Right.
being the exact idea that he made you? Because he ain't changing the idea. We just the ones down here thinking that we gotta find something. Thinking that it's lost. I gotta find my
Right. Right.
purpose. You don't gotta find your purpose. You need to understand God's ideal when he created you. Boom.
So
And now
that.
what? You gotta get your concept of yourself to be the same exact concept of what God had in his concept when he created you. And at that point,
Right. Right.
you're gonna know who you are. You're gonna be on the Mufasa plan. Remember who you are. Okay?
And I think that we do a lot of fighting against that as well. And I think it's subconscious, but a lot of times, especially as men, I think that we look at. Let me just bring it to this, because I want to talk about this, because that was a great
Okay,
segue.
before you segue, but did that really address that question? Because that was a really, really in-depth
No, 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 no,
question.
no. That was no. That exactly spoke to what I wanted to speak to, because actually it led to the next portion of what I'm saying. It absolutely did. I want to talk about the seem like the separation of church and state that comes with our mental health and our spiritual health.
This
Because
is
I
about
feel,
to get good. Yeah, we got a little
yeah,
bit more
because
time. We got a little bit
yeah,
more
yeah,
time.
yeah,
We
we got a
rocking
little bit more
along.
time and whatnot. I wanted to do about 2 hours,
No,
so yeah, we got
your
some time
viewers
to
can
do.
hang because your whole show is long and it's good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So my
It's if
thing
my
is
viewers
this:
can hang because my viewers be after about 45 minutes, they
five
be
minutes.
ready to go.
We had to tell them to come back to it. Put a pin in that one. But my thing is, I think that's I hate to say eternal struggle because I feel like there's no eternal struggle. I said if anybody is equipped to deal with any eternal struggle is God himself. You know what I mean? And it ain't a struggle for him because he's
Understood.
God. But I think that people that battle all the time with their mental health, especially men, are spiritually empty inside. I think that there's an emptiness that thing that we're trying to find. For some reason, if there's nothing spiritually, if their relationship with God is not right, because you feel as if that you have no other person that you could actually talk to about this, or no crutch to lean on when things are heavy, and nobody to help lighten your load. I feel as if that affects your mental health because you feel alone. I say this all the time. Have you ever felt lonely in a crowded room? You ever
Yeah.
felt lonely? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? People, that it's unfortunate we people feel that way a lot. And the people that feel the loneliest are because they feel like they are essentially alone.
Listen,
You know what I mean?
yes, what you're saying is true. And men in general, it's a progression, right? It's a progression.
Right,
Think
right,
like
right.
Russian doll, like one doll inside of another. So
Yes, yes.
at the biggest level, we generally feel lonely in the whole world. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because we're
absolutely.
men. Because we're males. Because we're males. And look, everything we talked about comes into play here, but we're males, and we feel lonely because our own in the world, because the ones that are exactly like us, males, other
Right, right,
males, we don't
right.
have any community or bonding between us. We have male ego.
Mm,
Now,
mm.
you'll see that pockets of males develop. So you might see like, oh, online's a good red pill community. So now there's pockets of males there because they share the same ideology. See where I'm going with
Absolutely.
that? And
Right,
then,
right, right,
you know,
right.
if you're in church circles, okay, there's just pockets of males in church circles, right? There's pockets of males that play the same sport in the adult league. We
Right.
always have to have something to bond over, right? But
Absolutely.
who's just bonding over or males?
Hmm.
Females, on the other hand, don't need a topic matter to bond over.
Right, right,
They
right.
just bond because they're female. And
Female.
then
Right,
you don't
right.
get ostracized unless you do something that violates, that makes the other females feel like you shouldn't have did that because you're female. Men, men
Ooh.
on the other hand, we
Right.
always have to have something between us to do, to work on, to compete over, that we
Yeah.
bond with. So it's like, oh yeah, this is my sports buddy. Why? Because we compete. You see? But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we suffer
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
loneliness because we get to the point to where we're with certain males, even like us, podcasting and all this other stuff.
Right, right.
We get to a point to where it's like, I'm maybe he might want to like really be a brotherhood where it's like, even
Right.
if it wasn't about the sports, the podcasting, the business we're building, that we could actually talk heart to heart. It's not about the church or the ministry. You want to become my brother. But the issue is, can we, and that's the first level, can we get
Mm-hmm.
past the point of commonality as males that we have and that we share? Otherwise, our relationship is limited to just that.
Ooh.
All right, that's the first part. But we all
Right, right,
thirst for that
right.
brotherhood where
Yeah.
I could just talk to you like we battle mates, and we just sitting after this long battle. We on the beach, we glad we alive, and we could just swap stories without judgment. And we know
Right,
that
right.
we're building a bond. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, and it has nothing to do with what we do or what we can do for each other or how similar we are. But the challenge to that is ego. It's the male ego. It's the male sense of independence. It's the male desire to leave his own mark, to have his
Right,
own
right.
name, his own legacy. Because
Mm,
even when two people like you and myself come together, and no, I'm not saying
right.
we're like this, everybody. I'm not saying we're like this. I'm just using us as an example because it's the safest thing to do. And
Right, right.
but you hear the example.
Right,
But
right. I'm listening.
we're
Yeah.
doing this together.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you know, that thing happens in men's minds. Well, should it be my name in the first, or should it be their name second, or should it be my name second, or and the ego comes in. And it's like, or do
Right,
we just
right.
create something where it's just like, and then the one guy deep down in his soul, in his concept, he's thinking if he put his name first, they gonna think it's his stuff and it's not our stuff. And you gotta get over that.
Right,
Otherwise, you
right.
won't have true unity. You gotta silence that. I'm not saying eliminate it, but you can
Yeah.
allow that as a male to be active in relationship with other males that you consider to be your brothers, or that you consider to be in your closest. You can't let that happen inside of you, because that little bit of ego left is going to be a wedge between you at some point.
Mm.
You have to be what Jesus says, pure of heart.
Wow.
See,
Wow, wow.
that's the thing. Now,
Yeah,
segue.
yeah.
That same pureness of heart, it should be achieved between a man and a woman. To your question, she has to get to the
Yeah.
point to where she's pure heart with the male, and you have to get to the point where you're pure heart with the female, where the
Woo.
actual egos
Right,
aren't
right,
there.
right.
Because
Yeah.
envy, contempt, comparison, competition, right? Everything that's opposite of true acceptance, love, and forgiveness and mercy. Those evil things can only show up if there's ego, because that's where they come from. The Bible calls ego pride. You see, that's where they
Yeah.
come from, right? So it's like,
Right, right,
if
right,
if I
right.
if I don't have no pride with you, Keith, it truly doesn't matter if your name's on it, and or if my name's on it at all. It doesn't matter if your
Right.
it's like, yo, we
Yeah.
don't even got to put our names on it. We just gonna do this because we trying to get this out here. We trying to help people. See, it's
Right, right.
true humility. That's what it is, bro. And it's like, can you get true humility with your bros? Because the second Russian doll level is that's global, just men between men globally, just because you're a male.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
second level is like you said, in our own families, in our own relationships with our family. I'm talking about male and female members of your family, your
Right,
actual
right.
blood, your DNA, your neighbors in your neighborhood. Where do you fit there? You see? And then it's like trying to find and develop your concept of how you fit, how you see yourself fitting, and how they see you fitting. Where's your value? Dude, you get respect because you're respectable. See, you actually have developed something inside of you that determines respect. And for a man, the first thing is competence. Do you know what you know, and can you do what you know? And guess what? Can you show what you know? Do you know what you know? Can you
Right.
do
Can
what you
do what
know?
you know.
And then can you show what you know?
What
And
you
to
know.
break that
Right.
down, it's like, can you learn it,
Yeah.
master it yourself?
Right,
And
right.
then can you do it? That's where the results come in. Can you produce results with that knowledge, that education you've been getting, that you saying you know and that you good at? This is your thing. And then
Right, right.
go to a higher level. Can you pass it on to someone else? And can you make another disciple of that thing?
True,
Can
true,
you
true. Because
teach it? Can you
and I
teach it?
and I think that every level of what you're talking about has to do with the concept, or not the perception of outside influence.
Big
I think a
time.
lot of times or whatnot, I think it's just as if, you know what I mean, the prejudice that evolves over time in anything. And the reason why I say prejudice is because when we start talking about even the way the children are, a child doesn't know hate or segregation or the thought process of being indifferent until they're taught that.
Right.
So what happens is that when we become adults and everything gravitates in that way, you always want to feel, or most people want to feel, as if that they're put on just so much of a pedestal as somebody else in every facet.
Yes,
So what
every
happens
facet.
is right, and so what happens is that all the time, you're right, we're looking for this our own state of comfortability, but we're looking for that in the acceptance of others.
Yeah, and acceptance is
You
the
know what I mean? Like, right,
it's true. It's a
right,
psychological root. It's the acceptance of others, but also the acceptance of yourself. And then
right.
even deeper than that, do you accept that God accepted you?
See,
That
and that's the
and
reason. That's
it's
the reason why I said it's about the spiritual
yeah,
portion of it, man. Because I feel, yeah,
it goes deep because like the physical portion is the acceptance of others.
yes,
The soul is the you accept you. And then the spiritual part is do you accept what God made you? Because you really can't be nothing else no matter how hard you try.
you can't. You take you with you everywhere you go.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you can't undo how you're made. You
you
could try to
can't.
alter it, you could dress it up, you could do whatever you want, but deep down inside, you know you didn't change it. Not a thing. And the internal
Absolutely.
frustration with some people is that they can't change that. And when you get to a point where it's like you can't change that, you better hit that serenity prayer. God, give me the strength and the wisdom and all that stuff to accept the things I cannot change. You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's like, yo, that third level. This takes us to that third level because everything you said
Yeah.
is fact. Like that.
Right. Right.
That's the third level is directly with the individual who is opposite of you, which in our case would be females. In a female's case would be the male.
Right. Right. Right.
Because I can't speak to the big global, females relating to each other and the issues there because I'm not female.
Right. Right.
Neither are you. So
No, not at all.
it's
Not
like
at
we
all.
can't really go in on that, right? Where I
Right.
started. But the
Right.
fact is there are some nuances there that females they can't get with each other at a global level
Yeah.
that stops
Yeah.
their unity. But that second level is the same for males and females. Your family, your close circle, your neighborhood, your
Yeah.
friends, that concept level.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Right. Right.
But this level is the ultimate level. And it's the most internal level. How do I really get down though with the opposite gender, right? And then at the same time, being in a relationship with one of them.
Yeah.
Because that's day
Yeah.
to day.
Yeah.
That's day to day interaction. So it's like, how do
Absolutely.
I interact with feminine, with
Yeah.
women? And then how am I really evolving and interacting with my feminine woman without letting her feminine compromise my masculine? And without letting my masculine compromise her
Right. Her
feminine,
feminine.
how do we get them to complement each other?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's the heart of the issue. Like if you take the Russian doll model, go from biggest to smallest,
Right.
and
Right.
bro, the overlooking of the mental health of the male
Yeah.
is something that each woman is going to have to make her own decision about how she's going to approach that. That
Yeah.
now is
Absolutely. I
it's
agree
such a
with that.
pattern. It can only be addressed at
Yeah.
the individual level. And which means I hope that if there's any women listening to this, that you make that decision to really challenge yourself, to open
Yeah.
yourself up to learning more and to being better than just what society has molded you to be and reacting this way and that way because you are a woman.
Yeah.
Same. It's the same expectation they have of us as males. They don't want us to react out of our maleness so much, and so it's like,
Yeah.
we need the same favor back. You know what I mean? That opens the door for complementary relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like this, bro. It is spiritual. It's deeply spiritual because
Yeah. Yeah.
how do I say this, bro? Remember, just told you the know, right? The knowledge, gain the knowledge, the competency, then the do, and then the show, right? The teach.
Right. Right. Right.
When God is talking about these relationships between a man and a woman, he's saying to the man, yo, you have to know her like at a level of understanding.
Right.
Says that in
Right.
First Peter chapter 3. And then he also says to him, but you have to be able to do and love her and do things just like Christ did for the whole, the church. And then he
Right.
says, but you have to teach her. You have to guide her. You have to lead her. You have to build her up.
Yeah.
Those are the three things he says to men in relationships. But to women, he says, but you have to respect him.
Oh, if I had my air horns today, I just hold the button down the entire time, man. I know I didn't hold the button down the entire time, man, because I think that
But how do
that's where
they?
we come to it we come to an impasse
Yeah,
with
but
that.
but
Yeah,
it is an impasse only because of ignorance. The stuff we talked about. Because how can she respect something
exactly.
she don't know? And
Ooh.
I'm not talking about you don't know the individual male. Like, oh, John, I don't really know him. No,
Right, man.
masculinity, the nature of
Right.
maleness. We, like I said, I reiterated again.
Right.
We get a crash course as little boys on the nature of girls, but girls
Mm.
don't get a crash course on our nature. They just encounter it unknowingly. They're ignorant to it, and all of a sudden, here we are, boom, man in it. They don't know how to react to
Right.
that. That's like somebody running up in your house at the 3 in the morning while you sleep. Why are you in my house?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
shocked.
Exactly.
You're in shock. So
Right.
how would
Right.
it's fight or flight at that point? It activates that psychological fight or flight in them.
Right.
But if they had some knowledge, some education, some training, some enlightenment on these things, the fight or flight will go down. That's why it takes a woman. A woman can be doing everything out of pocket, and most dudes will be like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
she tripping," but it's cool.
Yeah.
She's tripping.
Right.
She actually
Right.
has to disrespect him in her out of pocketness for him to flare up.
Wow.
But if it's just situational
Yeah.
and she's just this or that, he usually brushes it off like, "Yo, she don't know."
Right. Right.
And they be like, "Why? She's wilding out. Why ain't you like?" Eh. But the moment
Yeah.
she disrespect his manhood, his integrity,
Yes.
his character,
Right.
his
Yeah.
values, or says or does something that goes against his ideal, his plan,
Yeah.
he disrespected. And then she can't figure it
Right.
out. She's like, well, when I did this and said all this crazy stuff over here, in her mind, that stuff should have disrespected you. How
Right.
you disrespected when I did this? And he's like, because that don't match the plan. Now you creating some real conflict. That don't you disrespected the values, you disrespected the name, what we stand for. That bothers a man more than just her just wilding out because she ignorant and she's just being a female or whatever.
So in I guess these past 8 minutes, last 8 minutes that we got now, I want to really cap it off for 2 hours. How do you feel that we find some sort of alignment in this? Because I mean, it just we understand we've unpacked, I mean, the portion we've
Well,
dived smooth down the rabbit hole. We are now
yeah, we
we are
in
now at the
Wonderland.
base.
'Cause
We're in
I'm sure this
Wonderland.
conversation gonna make a lot of people wonder.
Yeah, exactly. We are at the base. Well, no, because now we're at the base. We're at the base. When you get to Wonderland, you look up and you see that endless rabbit hole that you fell down. And you're looking at it and you're saying to yourself, all right, I'm here now. We're in here now in the midst of everything at the central core of it into which that we can start to implement things that will affect change. How do we do that? How do we bridge the gap with that? How do we affect and let these men and women know, but we're centralizing it on men as far as their mental health goes? What is the seed that we plant down here in Wonderland that will reverberate through the rest of the earth to actually help flourish something on the outside,
Well,
something that somebody can grab and take away from and say, you know what, I can implement that and maybe that'll help me. You know what I mean? Or make me feel
yeah,
better about,
yeah.
you know what I mean, my status of mental health. Or
I,
even my spiritual walk with God or my wife or my children or my or my neighbor or the girl at my job I can't stand, like anything. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it comes down to about maybe 5 bullet points. And
Okay.
but it's really two sides to the same issue. This is
Right.
something that has to be first and foremost approached at the individual level, meaning
Yeah.
you have to make a solid one-time decision that you're going to do something about this and you're never going to stop working on it for the rest of your life. You have to be disciplined in this decision. You have to be disciplined. You have to set it into your ideal.
Right.
You have to. because
Right,
it's
right.
not just situational and it's not one moment, and it's something that's been going on for so long. And we would
Yeah.
be remiss to say that we have not been acting and living and making decisions out of this stuff, that we haven't been
Mm.
speaking and thinking out of this stuff and reacting out of this stuff. Okay,
Right,
so
right,
we have to
right.
treat this like a true disease, the ultimate level of
Ooh.
corruption that has poisoned us. And it's our
Yeah.
job to get the poison out every day, all the time, 24/7, as I say,
Mm.
eternal.
Right, right, right.
That's the first part. The decision
Mm.
has to be solidly made once and for all.
Yeah.
Now, if you're male or female making that decision, the next step is, okay, you need to start figuring out how you're going to put yourself in a position to get the mental help you need to change the way you think, what your concept is, your perception, what your esteem is, what your ideal is. Because that change
Mm-hmm,
your
mm-hmm.
identity in those three
Right.
areas, right? Change your
Right, right.
efficacy. Okay? That's the
Mm.
goal. But efficacy,
Right,
remember, is
right.
made up of those three things, which make up your
Right.
identity.
Right, right.
Bro, you have to do that as an individual first.
Yeah.
Then if you have children, start teaching them. As you learn, teach them.
Right,
You
right,
got to
right.
change your behavior. You know they're going to learn from your behavior and your example. And for a long time, you're going to be like, "Oh my God, it's not working." Or, but you got to keep educating. You got to keep change. Don't educate until you change.
Right, right,
Educating
right.
and applying. And then the deeper level is, yes, get a therapist, right? Add on,
Mm.
go get a minister. I don't know what your religious background is, but as a Christian, find a Christian community to be a part of.
Right,
I get
right.
there's this element of how can I trust people? How do I find the right people? Just like there's
Yeah,
this
yeah.
element of how do I find the right woman to be with or the right man to be with? Make
Right, right.
yourself right, get your ideals right, and then you will have an ideal self to make a decision of who complements that, who has the characteristics to complement your ideal self long term.
Mm. Right, right,
That makes
right.
it easy because now I'm not just only choosing somebody that has a high potential of matching and hanging with me long term, which raises the chance for happiness. Doesn't reduce conflict because conflict will happen between two people, but
Yeah.
it does raise the chance that you'll be able to work through the conflict smoother. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
you're reducing your risk by using decision making in the way that I described. You're reducing your
Mm.
risk up front. You see,
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
minimizing the potential for relationship issues up front when you do that. But people
Right,
do
right.
change, but you have to
Mm-hmm.
gauge your own capacity for dealing with change, which goes back to, do you have a counselor? Do you have a therapist? Do you have people you can talk to? Do you have find that in your life? And it don't have to be a therapist, it could be a really close brotherhood or sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
make sure those brothers and sisters that are really your brotherhood or sisterhood are coming with some sense and some
Yeah.
humility.
Yeah.
They're not
Right,
just
right.
there advising you, but they got a ton of problems. Or, and this is the big one, they're not just advising you, but you never hear anything coming from their side, their issues, their life, their problems. They don't let you in to advise them. If
Ooh.
you're not going to use a
Ooh.
professional therapist, counselor, or some minister to some degree, because ministers is a shaky area. And I'm saying that from
Right,
the
right.
inside. I'm saying that being on the
Yeah, right.
inside.
Right,
Nobody
right,
call
right,
me
right.
judgmental. Those are my peers, and I'm telling you from it's shaky. Okay. My
Right,
life
right, right.
mission is to actually not be that myself and to actually go against those type of problems myself. But
Exactly.
the big issue here is, bro, is that you're not professional, you're not licensed, you don't have any real, you know what I mean? You're just bros, your sisters, you know what I mean? You're people. You know
Right,
what I
right,
mean? You
right,
got a
right.
relationship with
Mm-hmm.
each other. If
Yeah.
they're not letting you in at some point to the degree that you're letting them in, that's a
Right.
red flag. It doesn't
Mm.
mean that you cut them off. It doesn't mean that, but it does mean that they may not be the one who's going to share
Mm.
that level of openness and create that protection because they're actually apprehensive about letting you in, which means they're protecting themselves from you.
Mm. Oh, wow.
They don't think
Wow.
that you can advise them like that, but at the
Yeah.
same time, since you let them in, they know that you trust their advice because you're letting them
Yeah.
in. But if they're not
Mm-hmm.
letting you in, it's not a knock on you or nothing. It just means that
Yeah. Yeah.
they don't trust you like that. They're protecting themselves from you.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
need to have a reciprocal going on in those
Mm-hmm.
type of relationships. So I caution you, If that's not happening, you might want to chill on opening yourself in that relationship and find one that reciprocates. And that's a long road.
Yeah.
You might only encounter one person in your whole life you can do that with.
Can I piggyback off that for a minute too?
Sure thing, because that's my bullet
I
point.
think.
I know I said
Yeah,
five and
yeah.
I made 3 points,
No,
but the sub points were the other 2 points.
right, right. No. The reason why I would piggyback off of that and whatnot because the one thing that I know, you know what I mean, that I've noticed is that, and when we have conversations, we say like, yo, you know what I mean, we just click and whatnot, and we understand it, what it is, and I think it's because we have similarities, and what happens is that our thought process is kind of, aligned, and in many ways. The one thing that I tell people is that, like, and this is metaphorically, figuratively, and literally,
Mhm.
vet your safe spaces
Come on.
in life, because a lot of times people don't vet their safe spaces. They kind of cling on to whatever the Joneses are doing, or whatever. If anybody is everybody is doing this, and this is comfortable for them, and this is the way that they'd like to, release tension or pressure in their own mind, and this is what they do. They go ahead and they try to cling to it as well, even if it's not for them.
Oh,
You know what I
excellent,
mean? Like,
excellent point.
yeah,
Yes.
right. So a lot of times, we're following suit, but we're not really doing exactly what we should be doing to decompress ourselves, or to find ourselves in our own level of comfortability. Like, what I mean, when we have conversations, the reason why we can talk for 4 or 5 hours a clip, we've done it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Is the fact that there's an identifiable factor. This is not a conversation in which that we're going back and forth and we're venting on this and venting on that. We are absolute in our convictions, and we say what we want to say under the pretense of this is a comfortable space, in order to say that, in order to
Right.
do that, in order to live this way, in order to say, okay, let's talk about electronics. Okay, you may not agree with the electronic that I'm using, and you can say to me, hey, listen, man, I mean, I see what you're doing, but yo, I got to put you on to this. What happens is it's not a combative thing, because, like you said before, the problem is that it's a mistrust in the space itself. People don't trust you with their information. People don't trust you with their feelings, or people feel as if that there's a judgmental portion of it that'll engulf them, and make them feel worse about themselves. You know what I mean? Like when I say something like, what's that mic that you got right there? You got to get the big. No, then no, you know what? I like that too. I've used that as well or whatnot. I'm using this one over here, but I know it's other ones or whatnot. Let me put you on to it though, man, because you might want to pick that up. I think it's just the old school way. The old school way of saying it is not about what you say; it's about how you say it. It's
Yeah.
not about the way. It's not about who you approach. It's about how you approach them. And it's not, what I mean. A lot of times we're just
It's
so
it,
afraid.
it is fundamental principles, man. See how many
It
people don't
really
even do the
is,
basics. People don't even have basic kindness, bro,
and
because
that's exactly
they're
what it
just
is.
thinking
Yup.
about themselves, right? What they need to survive, how they're going to do them. They're going to, I'm going for mine, all that stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
that takes you to a degree where you're actually not thinking about others, which is empathy, right?
Yeah. There
Empathy
you
is a
go.
basis for kindness. You have to be able to think about others and not just
Absolutely.
think, put yourself in their shoes so that you can
Yeah.
actually feel their esteem. You
Mm.
can actually adopt their concept
Right.
and
Right. Right.
you can kind of get a sense for what their ideal is.
Mm.
See, and people ain't doing it to that level. This is basic. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
the answer, but we've gotten so far from that, right? And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, we're far from that. But it's
Yeah.
like, how do we help? Because this is an issue.
Yeah.
Understand the basic principle. And like I said, do the basic principle. Discipline. Make a disciplined one time decision that you are going to use that as a principle in your life, not just use it one time. I'm making this a
Mm.
part of my identity. I'm
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
this a
Yeah.
part of my rules of engagement. I'm making this a part of
Mm.
my mode of operandi, how I
Mm.
operate.
There you
Anything
go.
against this, I disgust.
Mm.
I despise.
Mm.
I don't accept.
Right.
See,
Right.
and look, that's not from others, that's from me.
Right. Right.
I look
Right.
myself in the mirror in the eye, bro. you didn't have empathy with this person today. Then I should feel
Yeah.
disgusted with myself. And then
Mm.
I should discipline myself to get back on the saddle and never do that again. And go back
There
and
you go.
correct that thing. And that's what Jesus said. You do something, go seek forgiveness. Do something, be accountable, admit your wrongs.
There you go. There you
These are
go.
basic principles. But you know, I,
Mm-hmm.
this is the quote that I say all the time: stick to the basics, and the spectacular
Right.
will happen. We
Mm.
we be out here. Lord help me, because I know people gonna be like, "You mad at Les Brown?" I'm not mad at Les Brown for saying shoot for the moon and land among the stars. I'm not
Right.
mad
Right.
at that. But what I am saying is, so many people trying to shoot for the moon, and they
Mm-hmm.
know they ain't gonna hit the moon, so they're like, "He said I'll land them on the stars, so I'll still be good, right?" Guess what? You're so
Mm-hmm.
busy aiming at the spectacular that you ain't even do the basics. How you gonna
Mm.
be LeBron? How you gonna be Jordan? You can't even
Yeah.
dribble a basketball.
Mm. Mm.
But guess what?
Mm.
First thing you do when you
Right.
get to the court, I'm gonna try to dunk like them. No, man, you need to start
Yep. Yep.
dribbling.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
same thing here. Go learn some basic conversational skills. Put
Yeah.
yourself around people. Practice. Right? Practice kindness. This is what it comes down to. I think if men and women practice kindness on a daily basis and empathy, we most of the problems we think are problems, we would be like, oh, it's not even a problem.
Yeah.
It's just that we're
Yeah.
not using this
Yeah.
principle. And
Mm. Right.
it is a deep thing, bro. There are
Mm-hmm.
differences between men and women, but like I said, stop trying to make the differences match. We got to
Wow.
stop
Stop
doing
trying to
that.
make the differences match.
No, we
Trying to
just
make differences. Yeah,
yeah,
because it becomes a struggle battle.
yeah.
You
That's
know
all
what
it
I'm saying? It
becomes.
becomes
It
yeah. That's
becomes a
all it.
struggle battle. It's because
Yeah.
I'm
It
trying to
becomes
make the
who.
differences match. Make it no, man.
Yep.
You stick to the basic principles of life,
Mm.
and trust me, the differences they'll make a difference.
Yeah.
Trust,
That makes sense. That
trust.
makes
That's what it
sense.
is. Because like
Mm-hmm.
this is definitely a series of
Mm.
conversations, but I love the
Right.
fact that this mental health piece, right? Especially men and mental health, these
Absolutely.
dynamics, these relational dynamics, these psychological dynamics, we got a chance to really even scratch the surface on this.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely. Because I feel like it's completely and utterly necessary, man. It's one of those things where is that I think that oh man, like I said, and I don't want to go on a whole nother diatribe about it, but I just think that because these are the things that we can't see, because they're not tangible, because we use so many things in this life that you can see, that you can touch, that you can smell, that you can taste, that we use this as a representation of self elevation. This is
yes,
look at what I've done. Look at what I've got. Look
exactly
at what
what
you
you
know what I mean.
said.
Like yeah,
You
yeah,
you
yeah.
were people today. It's not just you or me. We've all are guilty of this. But some people
Mm-hmm.
live this way as a lifestyle. They live this way. They think this way as a
Yeah.
lifestyle, bro. This is
Right,
what their
right, right.
concept and everything in their esteem and their ideal is. This.
Yeah, yeah.
They literally use their relationships as selfish
Mm-hmm.
tools to serve themselves, prop themselves up.
Mm.
This is the easiest example is the guy that has a trophy wife or the woman that has a trophy
Yeah.
husband.
Absolutely.
She only want high
Absolutely.
value men. Why? Because he makes 100,000. He rich. That's all she want. Because it makes her
Yep.
look good.
Yep.
Oh,
Absolutely.
it raises her perception. It raises her quote value. But you don't want
Yep.
this. But this guy over here working in the welding shop in the steel mill makes just about as much money as him.
Right.
But he come home dirty every day. He drives a pickup truck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with men.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Right.
she got that Coke bottle. Ooh,
Mm,
she got junk in the trunk. She's
right.
built.
Right.
She's built right, and she's
Yeah.
smart. And she's smart.
Yep.
Oh
And
snap!
she's
And she's smart. Oh, she's a star. She's a dime.
right. Right.
So it's like, okay, yeah, she's a dime, but guess what? You only doing that so you could be seen with a dime in your pocket.
That's all it is.
Yeah, so
That's
you
all
ain't
it is.
back to your
That's
earlier
all it
meme,
is.
so that you ain't depressed because you broke. Because as
Because you
long as
ain't
she
depressed.
look
'Cause
good next to me, I can't be depressed.
mm,
So I'm
mm.
borrowing her beauty because she's a dime. I'm
Right.
not
Right.
broke. She's
Yep.
a dime. At least
Yep.
I got a dime. I'm not broke.
That's what it is. That's what it
And
is.
watch
Using
this.
the tangible things,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, to make us feel more
yeah.
adequate
It's all
about
about
what we lack.
it's all about us, man. It's never about cooperation and congruency with the other.
No.
It's never about cooperation, collaboration.
Information.
It's never about unity, community. It's never about those things. It's
Whew.
always got to be one or the other, him or her.
Right, right. And the funniest thing about it is that those that admire you, especially when we start talking about couples who have joined together as one, those that admire you because of anything that is not tangible that you display. The ones that are of substance, the ones that are of substance,
Yes,
they
sir.
look at you and say, I would want something like that. She loves him. He loves her. He honors her. She honors him. He respects her. She respects him.
No, bro, let's
The
go
one,
deeper. Let's go deeper than
nah,
that. I mean, what
right.
about the men and women who are going through hard times with one spouse who's incongruent, right? They're being the opposite of what we're advocating as a solutions. And then so you have the one spouse literally saying, like, yo, like anybody else, if they saw my characteristics and how good I am, like, at the risk of sounding arrogant and prideful,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
you've
know what
been
you
so
mean.
beaten down, your mental health has been so overlooked that you are literally at the last desperate space where you have to actually explain to the person that you're with who you are, what your values are, what they have, just to try to get their concept to actually see. You see? And then it's like
Yeah.
it puts you in a place of compassion because actually it's a weird place of compassion because you're at your wits end, right? You're in pain. You need help yourself. I
Yeah.
gotta help myself, and I know that. But I'm looking at this person, and I'm the one with the compassion, right? Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like I'm looking at this person. They're so jacked up themselves that they can't even see that they have something good already, and
yeah. Ooh.
they're so jacked up and so self-serving that they think I'm actually harming them. When the truth is,
Ooh.
I have all the characteristics that they claim they're looking for, that they're saying they're going to look for in somebody else. And
Right,
it's like,
right, right.
how can you not see what you already looking for is right in front of you? And not
Mm.
only that, you already decided to have it. It's in your possession. So there's a deeper level of acceptance rejection there, right? And
Right,
so what
right.
happens? You have to make a decision to take care of yourself because you don't take care of yourself, it's gonna drive you nuts. As the person who's like, yo, you're overlooking,
Yep.
I'm going through the problems, but the other person's selfish, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
they would some circles would say that that person is even narcissistic, but I wouldn't go that far because you have to really classify narcissism like for real.
Yeah, yeah. That's
But
that's that's a hot word of the
yeah,
of the
it's
of the
just a
year.
new
Yeah.
buzzword,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
That's a
truthfully,
buzzword. Exactly.
most people aren't narcissistic as much as they're at a place of extreme selfishness. And some people will say that's the same. It's like it's not the same because the
Right.
narcissistic behavior, the way the behavior is expressed is different than somebody who's in extreme selfishness. That nice person, I'll use myself.
Yeah.
Somebody like me, I could be sitting here right now in extreme selfishness,
Right, right,
saying the
right.
same things, understanding the same things and everything, and still be in extreme selfishness.
No, right, right, right.
So it's really hard to gauge, right? And so, but one thing's for sure, the narcissist ain't trying to help nobody. That's a way to tell. They're not trying to
Ooh.
help anybody, not even
Ooh, ooh.
themselves. So it's like, well, how
Mm.
do I tell the difference? If that person still has an air of they might not want to help you, you might be in a relationship with them. They're not trying to help you or they can't help you, but at least they want to help themselves.
Mm.
Then okay,
Mm.
they're not
Mm.
there yet. They
Mm.
might be in extreme selfishness
Just
for
right, right.
But if they get to the point where like, nah, I'm not helping you, I'm not helping myself, I'm not changing, and then the behavior is still overtly like bad,
Mm.
then
Mm.
that might be a narcissist. So
Mm.
there you go. So, but the point is, it's like when you get to that point and you're the person on the other side, and you're like, well, I gotta take care of my mental health. We're going through stuff or whatever, but this person can't help me. I see their pain more than they see my pain, even though I'm in pain.
Yeah.
You have to make a choice there to where it's like, do you keep trying to help them because you know trying to help them is going to be at the expense of you helping yourself because they're not going to help you. They actually might hurt you more. Or do you
Right.
back off of that and help yourself But you understand that backing off of that is actually leaving them, quote, hanging, because you're so compassionate that why would you leave them alone? You have loyalty values, and you're in it. You're in a relationship with them. But if I go help myself, I'm at such a point where I got to put so much concentration because I've been hurt for so long, for
Right,
so
right,
much, that
right.
I won't be able to pay attention to them in order to do the right justice for me.
Right,
And it's a
right, right.
big, it's a loop, man. It's a loop. You would
Yeah,
say a catch 22, an
yeah,
ultimatum, because it's like, but if
absolutely.
I don't pay attention to them enough to help them as their spouse or a partner, then guess what? If they go down further, that ultimately hurts the whole relationship that I'm in anyway. And
Yup,
so it's like
absolutely,
you're in the catch
absolutely.
22, but if I don't help myself, then I'm going to be the one hurting the whole relationship anyway. And then,
Yup, yup.
but what if I don't help myself and I help them and then they get out? Now I'm stuck.
There you go. There you
But
go. That's how
but
that works.
but
Yeah, absolutely.
what if I help myself and they really needed me? Now I'm helped and they're stuck.
Mm,
That's
mm.
that's where you're at, bro. And at that point,
Shh.
to quote you from earlier, you need
Yeah,
God.
need
You
God.
need the good Lord. You need the Father, the
Yeah,
Son, and the Holy
and the
Ghost. You
Holy
need
Spirit.
all
Yeah,
of them. You need the
absolutely.
angels. You need everybody.
Yeah. All the apostles, you know what I mean? Have
You
a
need
wise man ride,
everybody.
slide past
You need
everybody.
everybody because
You are absolutely right,
but the
man.
secret is you need to do a hard reset as an individual and as a couple at that point, because you
Yeah.
get and you have to go back down to bare basic minimums. In other words, you're in a
Mm-hmm.
situation where y'all can only go board.
Mm.
You can only go
You
board,
know,
and
go
you
go
got to go
board.
board every single hand,
Yup.
no matter
Yup.
what the other team in life say. Why y'all keep going board? I know y'all got more. Nah,
More.
man,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got
Yup.
to get
Yup.
disciplined to be strategic. We just gonna go board for like the next 3 or 4 rounds.
Say it again. You got to go. You got to be disciplined to go strategic.
Boom, boom.
That
Wish you
that
had
is
the air horn. You got to be
yep,
disciplined to go
discipline.
strategic.
You're strategic.
Can't
Uh-huh.
have strategy without discipline.
Yep.
And
Oh
discipline
man.
is a strategy itself. It's a strategy and a
Absolutely.
principle. So,
Yeah, yeah.
man,
Yeah,
what you just
absolutely.
said, bro. What you just said.
Absolutely. 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 Oh man. Well, we could do this forever because we normally do this forever, but I
Forever,
wanted
ever.
I I needed to talk to you, man, because honestly,
I
that
needed
was
that
weighing
too.
heavy on that was weighing heavy on my soul because my thought process is I think that there are people, shout out to Taya, because I think there are people out there, especially women. Women
Yeah,
want to
shout
kind
out
of
to
have an
Taya with
understanding.
the bringing that up
Yeah,
on the last
yeah,
episode of
yeah,
KnowItAll podcast. Yo, y'all go check that
yeah,
out. 159. Go check that 159 out. You got to
yeah,
watch it from
absolutely,
beginning to end so you're in the flow of the conversation. Okay, guys.
absolutely,
But go
yeah,
check that out because she really she raised a real and it caused Keith to throw up my way like, yo, she talked about this and what do you think?
yeah,
And I was like, yeah, I
yeah.
did see that. I'm like, yo, that's a whole conversation.
That's
But
an entire conversation. It really is. Like it's whoo.
and men need to have
Yeah,
this
yeah,
conversation because
absolutely.
women can talk about how they're affected by us. But remember,
Yeah.
they haven't been laid that foundation of knowledge of what a male is versus
Mm-hmm.
what we've been laid that foundation of knowledge to a degree. So it's up to us to change that, bro. And it's one of those we got to work on ourselves as individuals. Then we got to
Yeah.
find a brotherhood that is on to
Mm-hmm.
advocate this issue and prove it and live it. And then we got to hope that it starts something, makes a difference.
Oh man. Well, let everybody know, man, where they can get with you, where they can find you, all the things that in this world that you do. You know what I mean?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will do
And
that. Actually, truth, you just said that, and I'm like, yeah, I actually have another moniker, which is actually my real moniker, One Real
what's
Disciple.
that?
One Real Disciple. You can find me on
Right.
Facebook at One Real Disciple. The number
Mm-hmm.
one Real
Real.
Disciple
Right.
on Facebook. That'll take you to Christ Masters, the whole group, the whole Christ Masters. It's like Christian development group. Do a lot of Bible studies and stuff there, but we talk about a lot of these things too, life issues. Real
Right.
Discipleship at Real Discipleship on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
is a place to find me there, and on Instagram at One Real Disciple. So
Bet.
yeah, you can find me in all
Yeah.
those places. Now I'm more of a I'm building this stuff up, okay? Because I wasn't the
Right.
social media person. So you're gonna have to just follow me and know that there's not a lot of stuff there, unless you
Yeah.
go to Facebook where there's a whole bunch of stuff there, and in the
Mm-hmm.
Christ Masters group. But if you want to follow me personally on Facebook, you have to put in Rascal Saint One, the number one,
Okay. Okay.
because
Okay. Rascal Saint one.
that's my personal page. Everything else
Okay.
is under the
Mm-hmm.
Christ Masters brand, real discipleship, no fluff, and so
Yeah.
you'll find me there. In the meanwhile, I mean, this thing right here, bro. I mean, let's see what the feedback
Yeah.
is from everybody about how these type of
Yeah.
conversations are going, because we can't take the cat out of the bag any further and tell you what we're thinking about doing,
There you
except
go.
that we are being testy and curious in our masculine nature of, let's just test this out and see what happens. And so,
Absolutely.
depending on the feedback, guys, depends on what we do next.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And we're gonna have, you know what I mean, me and John have a whole bunch of conversations behind the scene about all of this, and we talk about it on a regular basis. I just felt, and I'm glad that I was able to hostage up his Sunday morning. You know what I mean? Because I'm just
Listen,
thinking to myself like, yo, we gotta link up. You know what I mean? Gotta link up. Let's just get something, on camera. You know what I mean? So we can just put it out there, whatnot, and get a little bit more of a broader,
yeah,
just a little bit more of a broader opinion of about what what this is giving to people. Man, it's gonna bless people regardless. To me, I already know.
I
I already
believe
know
that.
what it is and
But see,
whatnot.
that's
Yeah,
the
the
idea.
conversation
I'm in the
itself.
same space. I'm like, well, yeah, it's gonna be good regardless. And people will say, let me add on one last point before you close.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People would say that's arrogant. People would say that's an assumption. How
Mm,
can you talk
mm.
like that?
Right, 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 right,
And it's the ideal. Once you're set on the ideal, you know for a fact that when we're doing this and having these conversations,
right, right.
and can't nobody change their mind on the content level and the depth of it and the impact of it.
Yeah.
That's arrogant. No, it's not. You can't change my ideal, neither will I let you. I know
Mm.
I'm saying I on behalf of both of us.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we are in the right craft, doing the right thing that God designed us to do.
Mm.
So it has
Mm.
to affect
That's it.
someone. It has to.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's like, yeah. And then it's like, if your ideal's good, I don't really care if it goes viral.
Mm-hmm.
Viral to me is it hit one person.
Right, right, right.
And that one
Mm.
person sat here like,
Mm.
and then was like,
There you
"Oh,
go.
let me get that pencil and paper out and
Yeah.
let me start writing my own obituary. Let me put some
Mm.
action to this." That one
There we
person
go.
listened to these things and said, "You know what? I need to try that. That might be a solution for my situation."
Right,
You know,
right.
that one
Exactly.
person. That's all it takes. One person. Think about it.
One
How many
person.
people did it take to start COVID pandemic?
The good old buddy that flew from China to Seattle. Dropped that thing right off.
That's right. That's why one person is viral. One
One
person
person.
is viral,
Yeah,
bro.
but one. Oh man, and it's not funny, y'all. I'm not laughing at that. It's just the idea. Why? The man, the ideal of it is really what is putting it forth, man. Respect you, man. Love you, brother. You already know, man. You the man.
Man, mad love
Yeah,
for
man.
you,
I
man. You know
appreciate you.
it. You know it, man. I appreciate you. I'm so glad that we're in the mix, man. And
Yeah, man.
we going to do this thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause it's about, man. The rabbit holes are endless, man. It reminds me of Did you get a chance to watch? And it's funny because I normally always close Miss Know It All podcast where we talking about TV and stuff. Did you watch the Pope's Exorcist?
No, I heard about it, but I have not
So it's
actually seen it yet because you know me, man. If I'm not business consulting or doing
right.
some type of personal conversation or group conversation like this in the
Mm,
background,
mm-hmm.
I'm usually researching the next thing for business or life or what's going
Right.
on, and then trying to fit time in with my family. So I don't really watch a lot of TV and stuff that much
Yeah.
anymore. even though I've been told I need to take care of myself, to our point, I need to take care of myself better.
Oh yeah,
I,
Taya, I'll tell you that in a minute.
I need to harmonize, and so
Self care is a thing. That's what Taya tell you.
and
Self care is a thing. Yeah,
I'm an advocate for self care, right? Because obviously,
right.
as a career and part of my career and my efforts, my life efforts, but at the same time, I'm
Right.
also an example of you could be down at ground zero and still get away from life can take you away from those same principles. So I'm not
Yeah,
exempt.
absolutely.
I'm not exempt
Right,
from
right.
being just like everybody else where it's like I don't take care of myself enough. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I haven't seen it, bro. I haven't seen it.
You have to watch it. Here's, and I'm not spoiling anything and whatnot, but essentially it goes from, it's a horror movie, but it's actually a true story or based on true events. Let's just do that. And then uh um by the conclusion, you start to see that this exorcist that works directly for the Pope is almost like a real life Constantine. He's almost like a real life superhero with a spiritual superhero. What should I say? Because his objective is that this is not the only thing that is affecting uh, um, that is attacking us not only as Christians but as a human race in general. So you definitely want to check it out because it becomes a thing where it's like, oh, I get where they're going with this, and it gives backstory and it gives future endeavors of the man that actually moved on and continued to do that under the entire direction of the Pope. He's like the Pope's 007. You know what I mean? Like he moves in a specific way. You know what I mean? He
I
starts
see
off
where
with this
you're
story
coming
like,
from. He's like an
yeah, like you got,
espionage boy.
but and the reason why I applied to this is because of the simple fact that with Ambition, putting it out there, it's just a word.
Hey, hey,
It'll be more than a word in a minute.
yep,
When you start thinking about that, you kind of want to. This is what the place that you kind of want to take that when we're doing it. It's to dive into those rabbit holes and believe it or not, it's something like a rabbit hole in a movie. You got to see it, but it's more along the lines of we dive into these rabbit holes and let's give some elbow room, get to the base of the issue. You know what I mean? Sort it out. You know, throw some tactical love bombs down there, boom, so we can actually, you know, get an uprising from people to maybe, like you said, it'll help affect change. You know,
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we got something in the mix, and I
yeah,
think women will learn from it. But we're actually trying
hmm
to, we're going to build something for men that's a little better than what's actually happening out there. That's the idea.
agreed.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
look, we done messed up because we were like, oh, we ain't letting the cat out of the bag. But if we talk long enough, it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Somebody will let go. There was a rope on the bag. We
yeah,
unleashed the rope, and all of a sudden, the cat is
right,
going to dive out.
right.
So
And
yeah,
our
yeah,
attention is men, but it's not exclusionary to women, and
no, definitely not.
it's not exclusionary because the
Yeah,
if we get enough feedback and we build this, you'll learn more about the whole overarching concept. We just think it would be a great something to put out there that is necessary.
hmm
It's just a space that we don't feel like is being done correctly on one side, and at the same time needs some more something. It needs something, and we think that we have
agreed.
that. So I'm
Yeah,
excited
agreed.
about everything, bro.
Yeah, man. So we let me just close out real quick, man. Get with us, Mr. Know It All Pod on all the socials, Facebook, TikTok. Oh yeah, Mr. Wait, goodness grief. The Mr. underscore Know It All underscore Pod on Instagram, of course, then the TikTok, then the Facebook fan page. Of course, the email, Mr. Know It All Pod at gmail.com. And yeah, man, this has been special. They said before, yeah, this something like this, man. I'm like, you know what, first little like subsidiary thing that I'm doing, you know what I mean, just outside of the norm, and you know what I mean, it's a good look. And thank you so much for actually putting me on to the proper way to do remote.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cause
We gonna get you
sooner or later,
skilled up,
yeah, man,
skilled up
cause
and
once I
reeled
start
up.
podcasting about podcasting and we go into the art of actually teaching people how to really podcast, that's gonna be a whole nother topic entirely.
Yeah.
But you know how that go. That'll be something different. So listen, man, This has been great. Anything you want to say before we close out?
You know what, man? God bless the people. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, you take something from this, man, and really work it out, man. I'm just excited to be here with you, bro. I think what we're doing is great. Of course, people will know that, but I mean, do something with this. Do something with this. Don't just listen to a podcast and just be in podcast purgatory. Do something with it. Do something with it. Okay? Yeah, we got some more stuff coming down the pipe. I'll see y'all again soon. You know what I'm saying? And then as me and Keith do some more stuff together, obviously you'll get to know the other ecosystem that's behind me and everything I'm bringing out here to the table on the social streets of the internet.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Nothing too special except stay on the train. Know where we're going.
Absolutely. All right, y'all be safe out here. We holla at y'all later on behalf of myself, Mr. Know-It-All. That is the Faith Ninja, Mr. John Horne. Thanks, man. Holla at y'all later. Peace.
Peace.